ESPN, AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Jason Minix, The Blitz.
It is The Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Kind of a gloomy, rainy Monday here in San Antonio. I'm Jason Minix. Glad that you are tuned in on this Monday. The preseason is officially behind us. Tomorrow, by the time this show starts, we'll know who's been cut all across the league by 3 o'clock tomorrow. Cowboys, they have a lot of decisions to make after a winless preseason, but how does that matter? Does it matter if they don't win a game in the preseason? When you lose all four, you say no. We'll talk about that a little bit today. We got a lot to get into, including Deshaun Watson. Texans, they have a big decision to make. Could he be headed to Florida? That looks like a place that, well, maybe he ends up with the Miami Dolphins. Steve Sarkisian finally tells us something that we've known for a week. Hudson Card will be the starter for the Texans, Texas Longhorns. Do they have a chance at making the college football playoff? What about the Aggies? Peter Burns from the SEC Network. Yeah, that Peter Burns. He's going to join us about 5:30. RJ Ochoa will be on at 5 o'clock. College football season is here. There were some games over the weekend. Quite honestly, I only watched a couple seconds of some when we were back at the hotel getting ready to go back out, and I saw that massive crowd there at the UCLA game. That's embarrassing if you're UCLA, but with college football right here, Jeff Traylor, as he will join us every Monday on the Blitz at 6 o'clock during the college football season. That starts today. And I'll tell you what, I knew they had their hands full opening up against Illinois. Did you see what Illinois did to Nebraska? Now, part of me thinks, well, Nebraska's just not that good. But Illinois, man, that was a physical football game. The highlights I saw, that was pretty impressive football. But yeah, Jeff Traylor's going to join us coming up at 6 o'clock. We're out early. Not that I'm recovering from a long weekend and want to hear the pregame show, but the Texas Rangers and Colorado Rockies, they get going tonight, so we'll bring you some coverage of the Texas Rangers. Because, man, I've got to recover from the weekend. I got to tell you a couple things. Thursday, went to Los Angeles to see the Foo Fighters at the Forum. That was an incredible show. And you know that little girl? She's like 10. That drummer that challenged Dave Grohl during COVID to a drum off. And it's COVID. What the hell else was he going to do? So he accepted the challenge. She showed up at the arena, and she played. And, man, it was freaking awesome to see her play live. And according to Dave Grohl, that was the first time they'd ever met, which I thought was kind of odd because I've seen her, she's from England. But Pledge, there's video of her drumming now with like the Red Hot Chili Peppers, and every other major band wants to drum with her, right?
Yeah. And
Grohl's like, "Hey, man, it's your reunion." And he's like, "Well, I can't really call it a reunion because we just met today." And I thought that was kind of, but the courage for her to get up on that stage in front of a packed arena and then nail it.
Just killed
to end the show. She did. It was, there's videos all over YouTube. I had some on my story, but that's already expired, but not near as good. But just seeing her just come out and just perform in front of a packed house, and it was packed. Then we went to San Francisco for Green Day, Fall Out Boy, and Weezer. And there's a band that opened for them called The Interpreters. They're not good enough to make the T-shirt. They're playing at 5:30 for a reason. They're going to be really good.
Mm-hmm.
That was a really good opening band. So if you're looking for some new music, go find The Interpreters. I've been meaning to download their music. Thought I would do it on the plane, but had a plane that did not have internet, which is kind of interesting. The internet did not work from the San Francisco to Vegas to San Antonio for the $8, but the free TV was working. I don't know, which allowed me to watch Jacksonville and Dallas play. We'll get into that. I'm glad I watched it on the iPad on the plane, because after seeing the final score, I don't know that I would have had it in me to pop it on and watch it this morning, which was my original plan. Thank God for free TV on Southwest Airlines. But the one thing I do want to tell you about the weekend in California, because I don't know that it's coming here because it's Texas and we've got Governor Abbott, but showing the vaccination card to go places was the first time I've had to experience that. And as I hear all these different sporting events and different venues say that they're going to check your vaccination cards prior to entry, I'm thinking that's going to be a cluster, because you've got people out there that can barely take your tickets. So now they're going to be in charge of looking at your vaccination card. I got to tell you, it was easy. It was smooth. If you're going to fight it and argue and bitch about it, that's on you just wanting to be mad about having to show your vaccination card. And I got to admit, I was in that boat, like, really? All right, ready for the hassle of what was coming. And at the Forum in Los Angeles, before you got to the ticket part, you had to show your vaccination. And at least in LA, you could, if you had a picture of it on your phone or if you had the actual card, they didn't care, which was good because my wife forgot her vaccination card, but she's got it in her phone. But it was good. The part that I thought was interesting is they not only looked at your card, but then matched your name with the ID. So you couldn't just show somebody's card. You had to have yours, and it had to match what was on your ID. But it was a smooth process. And quite honestly, smoother than when you get up there with the guy in the gun trying to take a picture and scan your card, because the guy that I got to, his scanner thing quit working. But then we got in, it was fine. In San Francisco, which I thought was a stricter city before we got there, they didn't ask for your vaccination card going into the concert, maybe because it was outdoors, or I don't know. But you had to show your vaccination card for everything else that you were doing, going into restaurants. The hostess, before she sat you, checked your card and your ID. We went to a bar. Now, at the bar, a little place called Mr. Bing's in Chinatown, I don't know if that guy actually looked at anybody's card or ID, but he at least went through the motions. Going out to Alcatraz to get on that boat, they checked your ID, they checked your card. But I got to tell you, it was easy. It was no different than getting carded at a bar. It was just one more thing for them to look at, because I was dreading having to show the vaccination card and what kind of hassle that was going to be. But quite honestly, it was smooth and easy. So if you're thinking about it, and one of those on social media that is constantly saying, hey, I don't want to have to do it, was easy. It was not a big deal. You just roll with it. It was just like getting carded going into a bar. And I always feel kind of odd because look at me. I don't think I look 22 anymore. I feel like I'm 22, but I don't look 22 anymore. So every time I get carded, I'm like, here you go. Are you reading that? What year was I born? Because sometimes I'll do that to the guy. What year was I born? I don't know, man. I just have to go through. Yeah, but I thought it was interesting, though, that not only your card, but they matched it up with your ID to make sure your card matches your ID. But it was easy. It was not the hassle that I thought it was going to be. So if you're somewhere and they're checking your vaccination card, I don't know what would happen if you didn't have it. I know for the concert, you either had to have your vaccination card or a negative test within 48 hours. So if that's what we're about to embark on, that's what it is. Again, with Governor Abbott, I don't know if that's going to be a factor in Texas, but you never know. But I was expecting it to be a nightmare, and it wasn't. As for going to a couple of concerts, it was great. Big rock and roll show. I went and saw Miranda Lambert a week ago out at Whitewater. But to go see the Foo Fighters, a big-time rock and roll show with, I don't know, 20,000, 25,000, whatever the Forum holds for a concert. And the way they packed those people in the floor, it was like COVID didn't matter there. Even though 3 times I've tried to see Foo Fighters and COVID has postponed them, finally got to see them, and it was packed. At Green Day, same thing. And looking at the cities where the Hella Mega Tour is going, if you missed them when they were in Texas, Houston, or Dallas, that is certainly worth the trip to go see them. I know they're playing Dodger Stadium, I think, next week. Then they're going to be in Seattle on Safeco. You're looking for a great weekend getaway. That Hella Mega Tour was incredible. Weezer is great. Weezer was great. live. I'd never seen Weezer before. I've seen Fall Out Boy, I think, 4 or 5 times now. Eric and I were trying to figure out how many times we'd seen Fall Out Boy. They get better every time I see them live. And Fall Out Boy is one of those bands that I don't really give a damn about until I see them live. That's my kid's band. That's her music. That's like going to see Maroon 5 or Neon Trees. I'll go Panic at the Disco. I'll go just to see. But man, Fall Out Boy is really good. That's a hell of a band.
Yeah, you should listen to them more often.
Green Day. I really should. I don't know. They're not on my playlist. They're nowhere pledge on my playlist. But I feel like I know half of their music. The only thing I was bummed about is they didn't close with Centuries, which I thought would have been their final song. So I went to go get beer as I thought their show was wrapping up so I could see Centuries. And they played Centuries while I was on the beer line. And one of the great things about going to concerts that, we've been deprived of that for a year and a half, the amount of money you spend on beer at a concert and $40 T-shirts. I mean, it's been a long time since I've gotten to get a $40 T-shirt, and I was excited to get it. And those expensive ass beers at the arenas. And think about the Hella Mega Tour. We got there at 5:00 in the afternoon. We didn't roll out of there till like 11:30. I mean, they were 3 full concerts for Weezer and Fall Out Boy and Green Day. I mean, it was incredible and a lot of fun. I highly recommend if you're into Green Day, go see them on this tour. I've seen Green Day a couple times. I don't know that I've seen Green Day play better than I have on this tour. They were great. Fred on our Facebook Live. Is he asking, are we going to have the football pick'em thing?
We are.
Who wants to join the group? Is he asking about a fantasy football thing or a pro football pick'em challenge? Because our pro football pick'em challenge is back. In fact, you can go to sasportstar.com right now and get yourself registered and ready for the regular season. It's live now. It started today. And here's the great thing. It's brought to you by Pinkerton's Barbecue. So every week, the weekly winner will get a $50 gift card to Pinkerton's Barbecue. You're also going to get a gift card to Mellow Mushroom. So if you want some food and you think you can pick some football games, you get over to the Pro Football Pick'em. sasportstar.com is the website. It's brought to you by our friends at Pinkerton's Barbecue. And again, weekly winners get gift cards to Pinkerton's and at Mellow Mushroom. So you can go there and register now. I guess you can probably make your picks for the first week since there's no games until the Cowboys and Buccaneers kick off in a game that you're going to be able to listen to right here. For your early planning, that Thursday, the 9th, so not this Thursday, a week from this Thursday, we're going to be broadcasting a Blitz live out at Hills and Dales with our friends at Miller Lite. We're going to have all kinds of stuff to give away that Thursday, Cowboy stuff. I just did the commercial for it that you'll get to start hearing. But when I think about some of the stuff that we're going to give away on that Thursday, I mean, it's Miller Lite. One of those OtterBox coolers that we're going to give away from Miller Lite. There's some Drew Pearson Hall of Fame stuff that we're going to give away. Some Cowboys tickets, all from Miller Lite. So put it on your calendar now. Next Thursday, the NFL season officially kicks off. We're going to be live that Thursday, the 9th, out at Hills and Dales from 4 to 7 with the Blitz and Miller Lite, the only beer of the Dallas Cowboys. And I tell you what, I start looking at the Cowboys and cut down day coming up tomorrow. And this is the time of year and we'll talk about it with RJ Ochoa from Blogging the Boys at 5:00 when RJ joins us. John Machota has his 53-man projection. Blogging the Boys has their projections on who's going to make the actual 53-man roster. The cuts, you've started seeing it all day today, and it's going to happen tonight, and then, of course, all day tomorrow. All the different people that get cut. After a winless preseason, they go 0-4. But the last 2 times the Cowboys didn't win a game in the preseason, in 2014, they went 12-4 and made the playoffs. In 2018, they went 10-6 and made the playoffs. As long as Dak Prescott stays healthy, the Cowboys are a double-digit win team, and they're going to be a playoff team out of the NFC East. you can book that. But when I'm watching these preseason games, the Cowboys have a lot of depth at linebacker. And that's about it. Maybe wide receiver. They got a lot of depth at wide receiver. Or at least the starters are really good. Then there's a pretty good drop-off. There's a lot of guys that were playing against Jacksonville yesterday that are getting their LinkedIn resumes ready. And they know it. You could tell it during the game. Even all the games on the NFL Network yesterday. Guys wearing the uniforms, mama coming down close to the sideline, snapping pictures of her kid in the uniform. Because you know, next week you ain't going to have one of those. Those players know who they are. But I think the big question continues to be, the big question for the Cowboys is still going to be who is the backup quarterback. And projections, I don't know. I mean, I think Cooper Rush actually ends up winning the job. I think Cooper Rush has done enough to win the job, although I think the Dallas Cowboys wanted Garrett Gilbert to win the job. But when you look at the game yesterday, and you look at the way Garrett Gilbert played, and he played fine yesterday. Garrett Gilbert was good yesterday. I don't know if it's enough to unseat Cooper Rush. Now, I'll say, I don't think the Cowboys' backup quarterback is currently on their roster. We'll see who all gets cut over the next 24 hours and see if there's something there that the Cowboys can do. But with what we've seen in the preseason, the most consistent of the bad backup quarterback play that we've seen has been from Cooper Rush. And I do think Cooper Rush gets a bit of a nod just because of his experience in the system. He's been Dak Prescott's backup before. He understands what Kellen Moore is doing in the offense. I would like to think, I would hope that he's got a much firmer grip on the offense than Garrett Gilbert because of his time in the system. From Garrett, and then he went away, then he came back. But Cooper Rush has been the most consistent, the most confident looking. I wanted it to be Garrett Gilbert. I wanted Garrett Gilbert to win the job. And if you just go off of yesterday's game, you might say Garrett Gilbert won the job. Now, I don't know financially how much cheaper it is to keep Garrett Gilbert than it is Cooper Rush, because Cooper Rush has so many years of service in the NFL. And maybe the financial aspect of it says we can save a couple $100,000 by going with Cooper, then maybe, or going with Garrett than Cooper, then maybe Garrett wins the job that way, because that is a part of the decision-making process. It's not necessarily who's the best quarterback for the amount of money that we've got to spend. Because quite frankly, if something happens to Dak Prescott, I don't know how much it really matters if it's Cooper Rush or Garrett Gilbert. But when you look at the offensive line and a healthy Zeke and healthy wide receivers, you've got to be able to get them the ball. And this is where Andy Dalton got the raw end of the deal last year, is he had a Zeke coming off of COVID that had fumbleitis, and they had an entire offensive line. The all-pro starters were in the training room, and he was working with guys like Terrence Steele, who probably does make the team. Tyne Nseki is going to make the team. I look at that secondary, and did anybody stand out and win a job that you didn't think was going to win the job? No. I mean, I think those cuts would be pretty easy for most. I mean, Donovan Wilson and DeMonte Casey and Malik Hooker are probably going to be your safeties, right? Darian Thompson probably makes it. I'm not sure if that Izzy guy, if he ends up, I would think he ends up losing a job. Luke Gifford is going to lose a job. Kamara, who's been featured a lot on Hard Knocks, we'll see him visit with the Turk when he gets cut. I hope that makes the show tomorrow night on Hard Knocks. They're going to have to do some fast editing. But I look at some of the other ones and think about some of the draft picks. You know, does Deshaun Wright make the team? Has he done enough in training camp to make the team? I won't be surprised if he gets cut. Simi Fehoko, the wide receiver out of Stanford, as deep as they are at wide receiver, you listen to the coaches and what they say about him, They like him and his upside. But he's not the kind of guy you're going to be able to hide on the practice squad. You might put him on the practice squad, but I don't know that he'll stay there. I think another team that's desperate for a wide receiver would probably sign him off of that practice squad. Be interesting to see what happens there. Outside of that, I don't think there's going to be some wild cuts. I don't think there's going to be the surprise cuts like Clinton Dix was a year ago, because that was an offseason acquisition. Malik Hooker, I don't know, has done enough, but he's coming off of that Achilles injury, but they didn't bring him in to just cut him. Special teams, Greg Zuerlein's going to end up winning that job, obviously. I just look around. I think the one surprise cut that would be Deshaun Wright. Linebackers, Luke Gifford, I don't think he makes it. They'll go without one. They're deep at the linebacker spot, and maybe you do that to keep an extra defensive back. How many wide receivers are you going to go with? Malik Hooker, does he end up making the team for the Cowboys? What about tight ends? Sean McKeon gets hurt. I know there was a lot of upside and a lot of high expectation for Sean, but he got hurt. Does he stick around? IR him? But between Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz and Sprinkles, I think you end up going with Jeremy Sprinkle just because of a health reason. Noah Brown's going to make the team again. Cedric Wilson is going to make the team again. And obviously with Cooper, CeeDee Lamb, and Gallup, now CeeDee is going to, he's still on the COVID list, right? So that's a spot they don't have to worry about now. So maybe Fehoko makes the team initially, but then gets cut when CeeDee comes off of the COVID IR. It's going to be interesting. I think they only keep two of the running backs, partly because one of them got hurt. But it's going to be Pollard and it's going to be Zeke. The question is, do you keep a fullback or not? And this is where we don't know Mike McCarthy well enough. Jason Garrett would keep a damn fullback. I don't know that Mike McCarthy is going to keep a fullback. And how do they utilize that roster spot? I don't think they keep three quarterbacks. I'll go back to, if I had to make my decision today on who the backup quarterback is going to be, it's going to be Cooper Rush, just because of experience in the system with Kellen Moore. Garrett Gilbert just didn't do enough to win the job, quite frankly. That's what it boils down to. Down in Houston, James, your Texans have a bigger decision to make when it comes to their 53-man roster.
What?
And really about one guy. We always hear about how valuable roster spots are. Are they really going to give a roster spot to Deshaun Watson? I mean, they're not going to cut him. Don't get me wrong. But is there a trade in the works? I know there were some rumors over the weekend, but they're just that. But now there's a deadline. And then you look at Brian Flores down in Miami. What did he get? 4 questions about Deshaun Watson in his press conference?
Welcome to our world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 4, huh? Yeah, there's some interest there. Did Tua do enough to dispel that? Now, Brian Flores didn't give you anything except for one little nugget in his quote that makes you wonder, because this is the kind of quote that's going to bite you in the ass if you're Coach Flores and the Dolphins end up making the trade. He said, quote, "We have a high standard for the people we have in the organization. We want people with high character throughout the building. We want a group that is tough, smart, competitive, loves to play in his team first. Those are the types of guys we're looking for." But you drop in the high character part of that. Everything else, I think you're fine, Coach Flores. But I do think you could question Deshaun's character facing these 22 lawsuits. And you can't tell me you want a high character guy and then go trade 3 number ones for a Deshaun Watson. Now, we hear all the time from every coach they want high character guys. My goodness, we hear that from Stephen Jones too. And we know what the Cowboys' history is. But it is deadline time. The first deadline, really, that the Houston Texans or a team desperate for a quarterback has to make. You look at the Colts situation. Now, looks like Carson is going to be fine with the foot, but now he's on the COVID list. What are they going to do? I look at the Eagles. I know they traded for Minshew. And when you see them trading for Minshew for a 6th-round pick that could turn into a 5, yeah, I'm a little angry at Jerry and Steven for not getting that deal done. Because when you see what C.J. Beathard and Luton did with Jacksonville, you understand why they wanted to get Minshew out of there. And I think part of that might have just been Minshew in the locker room thinking he was a starter. I watched a lot of Washington State football with Garner there. Yeah. My wife went to Washington State. I'm forced to watch Wazoo football.
There it is.
But Minshew mania was real. I mean, that kid could play. Remember when they came to the Alamo Bowl? I even bought the fake mustache and wore it to the bowl game. I mean, it was incredible. Kid could play. He would give you a lot of confidence in being a backup quarterback with all the weapons surrounding him in Dallas if the Cowboys would have pulled that off. And for a 6, that could turn into a 5 if a 5th rounder if he ends up playing 50% of the snaps there in Philadelphia. It's interesting. Again, I don't know that the Cowboys' backup is on the roster now, but when I see a trade like that, doesn't it make you scratch your head going, are you kidding? The Cowboys should have made that deal easily.
Unless they're looking at someone else that they're trading for that may be greater than Minshew.
Who? Brian Hoyer? I mean, he looked good for New England, and, he's not going to, but, was he going to be the 3rd, 4th stringer there in New England? There are going to be quarterbacks that get cut that have names, right? You hope there's somebody, and maybe that's it. The Cowboys, don't want to give up the 6 because there's going to be guys that are going to be available to sign. But at the same time, you see that and you go, you know what? Having that backup quarterback insurance policy is pretty good, especially when you see what you saw from DiNucci and Gilbert and Rush. Although Gilbert was good yesterday. Cooper Rush was all right. And I think one thing in judging these quarterbacks is their starting field position all game was just awful. That puts them in a bad spot. You got to pay attention to that stuff as well when you start looking at who's going to end up being QB2 for the Cowboys, which is still going to be the biggest question. Along with DiNucci, who helps him carry his box out of that locker room? That's what it boils down to. It is the Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Let's talk about the Texas Longhorns and their starting quarterback when we come back. Now, if you're shopping for a new vehicle, there's no better place to go than Ancira Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram Truck, part of the Ancira I-10 Auto Complex. And I can tell you that firsthand because I am a longtime Ancira customer. Through the years, I've bought many vehicles from Ancira, and it's because of their great customer service before, during, and most importantly, after the sale. That great customer service is why Ancira has been a top family-run dealership in San Antonio for decades. They're going to make sure you're getting the vehicle you want with all the options and features that you're looking for. They'll give you great value on your trade-in, the best rebates and financing options that are available. And price made Ancira number one. Price keeps Ancira number one. So think Ancira. Ancira Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, and Ram Truck, part of the Ancira I-10 Auto Complex on I-10 West between Wurzbach and Huebner.
ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
The NFL preseason wrapped up yesterday with both Texas teams dropping their final dress rehearsal. The Houston Texans fell to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers 23-16, led by Tom Brady, who completed 11 of 14 passes for 154 yards and a touchdown, tallying more passing yards in his first half stint than both Texans quarterbacks Davis Mills and Tyrod Taylor's combined 137 yards on the whole game. And the Dallas Cowboys played mostly players likely to be cut in their 34-14 loss to the Jacksonville Jaguars. First overall pick Trevor Lawrence completed 11 of 12 passes for 139 yards and 2 touchdowns for his final tune-up before taking on the Houston Texans in his first official NFL start for Week 1. Those are your pro football headlines. For San Antonio Sports Star, I'm Carl Shonin.
If you need 2,000 or tens of thousands of square feet for your office, warehouse, or retail space, we can help. The last thing you want to do is overpay the landlord. I'm Scott McMurray, Bottom Line Realty Advisors here in San Antonio. And we work with business people like you who want to have an effective strategy for their next real estate decision, whether it's leasing space or buying a building. Your landlord has representation, and you should too. Even if you're a good tenant with no plans to move at all, you're the most vulnerable to getting a really bad deal. Here at Bottom Line Realty Advisors, we only represent you, not landlords. If you're rethinking your office, retail, or warehouse lease, we'll help you negotiate from a position of strength.
Having Bottom Line Realty on your side doesn't cost you a dime. Contact Bottom Line Realty Advisors at 210-535-7800 and tell them Dave sent you.
Bottom Line Realty Advisors. We get the landlord off your bottom line.
For nearly 30 years, Thomas J. Henry has fought day in and day out for every client we've had the honor of representing. In our town, in our community, we will always be the name you trust. Thomas J. Henry, available 24/7 nights and weekends. San Antonio, Texas.
Injuries happen, so if you twist, pull, pop, or snap something, you need Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics. Dr. Espinosa treats all non-surgical orthopedic injuries and has same-day and next-day availability. Telemedicine services are also available. There is no reason to be in pain. If you are hurting, visit Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics. Learn more at TSAOG.com. That's TSAOG.com, or schedule your appointment by calling 210-804-5490.
Do you have your tickets yet for week 1 of college football? What are you waiting for? You only have a few days left to snag tickets to the Good Sam Texas Kickoff featuring the Texas Tech Red Raiders and the University of Houston Cougars at NRG Stadium on Saturday, September 4th. Kickoff is at 6 p.m. Don't miss your chance to start the 2021 season live in Houston. Get back to tailgating, touchdowns, and cheering on your team with your fellow football fanatics. Reserve your seats today at GoodSamTexasKickoff.com. That's GoodSamTexasKickoff.com.
O'Reilly.
It's O Rewards Member Appreciation Month at O'Reilly Auto Parts, where you can earn double, triple, even up to 5 times O Rewards points on select purchases. Get bonus points on more than 200 items throughout the store, like wiper blades, fuel system cleaners, motor oil, and more. Stop by O'Reilly Auto Parts today or visit O'ReillyAuto.com.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's a baseball summer, and the Missions are back on at the Wolf tomorrow night for $2 Tuesday. The Missions battle the Amarillo Sod Poodles. Come out and enjoy $2 tickets, parking, beer, and sausage wraps. Gates open at 6 p.m. with the first pitch at 7:05. Go to samissions.com for tickets and details. That's samissions.com. Wolf Stadium is now open to 100% capacity for Missions baseball. Let's get back to fun. Play ball!
Running a business comes with pressure. Remote workforces, HR compliance, retaining top talent. You start to feel boxed in. Fortunately, there's Insperity. They put 30 plus years of HR service and technology to work, offering my employees competitive benefit options while lightening my HR load. Instead of obstacles, I'm surrounded by people empowered to be their best. With Insperity, nothing seems impossible. Insperity, HR that makes a difference.
Listen to this station anytime, anywhere on Odyssey. Odyssey is your new audio home for all the music, news, sports, and podcasts that matter to you. Odyssey. That's AUDACY.
This is The Blitz with Jason Minix and the brightest sports insiders. San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
It is The Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. I'm Jason Minix. You want to be a part of the show, you can dial us up on the Kia Bossa Bacon phone lines, 210-656-ESPN, 656-3776. On Twitter, at Jason Minix. You can tweet at Pledge. He is at I Am Pledger. James Pledger, producing as always. Somehow survived a weekend with his buddies in Houston. If you see him out at the bar, maybe at the Roo Pub or something, ask him why he was wearing a towel, a wet towel at that, on the back of his friend inside of his friend's apartment, saying a bunch of words that we can't say on radio. I have no idea what was going on in that video, but it looked like a really good drunken time for James Pledger over the weekend. I'm glad you survived the Saturday morning hangover that happened all weekend.
A blast, and there was no hangover to be had.
Sure, you just drink yourself right through it. How's your ribs?
Those are a little tender.
Little tender. You know, it's a good night or a good weekend when you come back sore as hell. I'm just gonna leave it at that.
Well, how's your ankle, by the way?
A little sore. You know, it's hilly in San Francisco. All right, I'll tell you. You're trying to set me up. One of those embarrassing moments you hope nobody has video of. We were at Alcatraz, which, by the way, they don't tell you this when you're booking the thing to go out there, because we actually went on the island and into the federal prison, which, by the way, is awesome. Although there's nothing but hills in San Francisco both ways. And I know you know that until you're actually walking up those hills. It's stupid. And I can't imagine driving around and trying to park in San Francisco, having to park on a hill like that, parallel parking. Then you see other parking streets where parking is back in only at a 90-degree angle, and you wonder how complicated it must be for, I don't know. There's certain things that you just look at and say, no, some parking garages, and you wonder, how do they, the professional drivers it takes to be a valet in San Francisco. But walking up Alcatraz, they say, is like walking up a 15-story building, right, as you're walking all the way up there. Well, we're in Alcatraz, and there, obviously lots of people. We're all walking around, and you've got the audio tour thing going, so you're listening, and you're sort of not paying attention to anything. Some dude stepped on the back of my shoe, and that happens, right? But he stepped on me hard, not paying attention, to where I came out of my shoe, lost my balance, went to go grab the railing thing that I then quickly realized was not a real railing. It was one of those fake railings on stanchions that aren't anchored to anything. So I yanked them all down and fall. I bit hard. It was an embarrassing thing. My shoe was over there. My ankle hurts. It's still a little swollen, although I still did my workout this morning. My knee's all scraped up. My hip is bruised. My arm hurts. Nothing broke. And I was just trying to get it. My wife and my daughter are looking at me like, "You all right? You having a heart attack?" Because I've never fallen in public before. I mean, there's people that I know that fall all the time. Crazy. I've never in my life fallen in public. And all I was like looking around and saying, everybody turns and looks because it made a lot of noise. But I don't think anybody has that on video. I hope. Because I'd be rather embarrassed.
At Jason Minix, if you want to tag him in the video.
It's all people from who knows where. That's the great thing. The only way is if it ends up on Barstool somewhere and somebody points out and says, "Oh, that's Minix. Look at him." But then again, I wasn't at a bar. I was in jail. At a jail, not in jail. People escaped from that, which is pretty amazing. And that one guy actually apparently survived the swim. It's out there, and it's cold as hell in San Francisco. It's stupid cold in San Francisco in August.
The mind frame you have to be in to decide, I may not make this swim, but I'm going to try.
I was in Alcatraz for about 2 hours. I think I'd risk it all too. I would if you could figure out how to get out of there. Because you got to remember, it's nothing but nice dudes in there anyway. So the company you're keeping is one thing. But just being in there, seeing those cells. Now, I know there's some of you listening that have spent a lot of time in jails and understand what that's like. I don't. I mean, those cells, I mean, if for the good behavior cells are a little bit roomier. But most of those cells are about the size of my kitchen table. I don't know that I would survive a weekend, let alone years, inside of Alcatraz. And I could only imagine how cold it gets. Because it's cold in San Francisco. Did I mention that? See, my daughter, who is never cold, never cold. We're at dinner. She was cold enough to need a $35 sweatshirt from the gift shop that says San Francisco on it. And they must make a ton of money selling sweatshirts nobody's ever going to wear again because they're touristy looking. I'm sure it's nothing but the highest quality. The crazy thing is during the day out on the street in front of the pier, which is like the Riverwalk area, you can buy all that stuff for like $10, $15. At night, they're $35 because they know at night you need it. During the day, you don't want that hoodie, so you're not going to buy a hoodie. But at night, when it's cold as hell, the price goes up. Same sweatshirt.
If it's that cold in Alcatraz, imagine how cold that water was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I know some little kids went to the front of the boat because you get the splash zone. Now, I'm not stupid enough to go do that.
Nope.
But this one kid came back soaked, and I'm sure he was cranky all night long because while he kept trying to tell his mom, he was probably 7, he was trying to tell his mom that he was fine and not cold. You know, he was standing there, his lip was kind of turning blue, and Mom, I'm not cold, I'm fine. I told you I'd be fine. You could just tell it was. I'm sure he was a wonderful 7-year-old about 8 o'clock that night. I'm sure. So the Texas Longhorns have officially named Hudson Card the starting quarterback for this weekend's opener. We got college football this week. I know there was a couple of games over the weekend, little appetizer, but really the way those games looked, those were the appetizers you look at and you keep walking. You know, they walk around offering you the tray of whatever, and you're like, nah, I'm good. You want some of that? Nah, I'm good. I mean, UCLA in front of a packed house with 12 people there, that was embarrassing. That was embarrassing. I didn't see Illinois and Nebraska, and that looked like it probably was a pretty good game. I saw some of the highlights. UTSA opens against Illinois. We knew they had their hands full going against a Big Ten team. That looked like a really good team. I don't know what that really says about Nebraska, though, because we know Nebraska is down, but it's still Nebraska. And Illinois kicked their ass, right?
Could I interest you in some UTEP, New Mexico State?
No. Just keep walking. Just keep walking. That's one of those appetizers you go, yeah, no, I'll pass. You know, we've all been at events like that where somebody walks around with a tray and you're like, a what? No, I'm good. No, I'm good. No, I'll wait. You get the main course this week. Longhorns open up against, I'll be nice and call them just Louisiana. But ULL, Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns. And look, they're ranked in the top 25. We know it's not going to be the easiest of openers for the Texas Longhorns. But I sure hope they make them look like it was that game. Hudson Card. And here's the thing with Sark. Steve Sarkisian hasn't seemed overly happy with Hudson Card or Casey Thompson. You know, you go back to the scrimmages. They both had bright moments. They both had their share of mistakes. Neither one just so outplayed the other that it was an easy decision. Now, there's been a lot of talk about Sark not wanting to name a starter too soon for fear of losing one in the transfer portal. And that's a real thing that I guess coaches just have to flat deal with in today's college football. But Sark does say that both quarterbacks are going to play. We'll see some Casey Thompson. And I remember what Casey Thompson did in the Alamo Bowl last year. I mean, Sam Ehlinger gets hurt. Casey Thompson comes in, and they steamroll. What do you have, 4 touchdowns in that game? And in the second half, I mean, Casey Thompson looked like, all right, man, Casey Thompson, Bijan Robinson, this is going to be the future. But we also know what Hudson Card did at Lake Travis. Neither one of them has started in a college game, but at least we've seen Casey Thompson. We know what he could do. Hudson Card, let's see what he can do. But it's going to be about Bijan Robinson. It's going to be about that running game. But I do sort of appreciate the fact that Sark has said that Hudson Card's got to win this job every week. He's the week 1 starter. And Sark isn't going beyond that. He declined to say whether or not Card had secured the job permanently. But we're going to see both of them. At some point, though, you're going to have to name a starting quarterback. At some point. Now, 2 quarterback systems, we know the old saying, if you got 2, you don't have 1. But there are certain times where you go, okay, you got a package for this guy. Like seeing what San Francisco did yesterday, rolling out Jimmy G and Trey Lance. It's okay to do that in a preseason game. I don't know that the 49ers are going to do that in a regular season game. It's different than Taysom Hill coming in with either Drew Brees or Jameis Winston. Because, Taysom can play a couple of different positions. If Trey Lance and Jimmy G are on the field at the same time, there's one thing they're going to do. With Taysom, he could be going out for passes, playing tight end, blocking. I mean, you never know, man. He's a utility knife. You don't get that with Trey Lance and Jimmy G if they're on the field at the same time. But the idea of switching quarterbacks in and out, not a fan of that. And then you're going to have your pre-snap penalties, the motion, the cadence is different, just everything about it. Get a quarterback in and give them some flow. Let them get into a rhythm. But you're going with the redshirt freshman and Hudson Card, and I'm good with that. I'm good. I thought he was going to win the job most of the offseason, even just based on what we had heard early. And then, the struggles were there, but both quarterbacks struggled. But at least you've named your starter, let's go. Same thing with A&M. I think everybody, UTSA, Coach Traylor is going to join us at 6 o'clock. I know Frank Harris has been named the starter for the opener. He's probably earned it. But I'm not going to be surprised if we see some Atkins in the game. We'll ask Jeff Traylor if there's a package for Josh to get in there. Different quarterback, completely different style. So we'll see. Hudson Card for the Longhorns. You ready for that? I'm just ready for a good weekend of football. A good weekend of football. We've had the appetizers. We had some high school football. Our season, my season, starts this Friday. We've got Churchill against Alamo Heights Friday night here on San Antonio Sports Star. Not doing the opener because I was obviously out of town this past weekend is a weird, different feeling, knowing that there's high school football going on and you're not a part of it. On ESPN right now, they're showing highlights of the UCLA game. UCLA looked good against Hawaii, but my goodness, you're playing in the Rose Bowl and 12 people show up? That's embarrassing for the Pac-12. When you're allowed to have 100% capacity, and that's all you could get in your stadium. Crazy stuff. RJ Ochoa is going to join us coming up at 5 o'clock at 5:30. Peter Burns from the SEC Network with more college football. And you think about the college football season that is about to get underway. I saw a promo, and it was funny. It has the national championship trophy, and it said 138 teams with one goal. Come on, dude. There's what? A dozen teams maybe that think they've got a realistic chance at winning a national championship this year. And really, is that a half dozen? Is there about 6? I mean, Clemson, Alabama, Oklahoma, Ohio State, A&M could be in the playoff this year. I wouldn't be surprised. Notre Dame, wouldn't be surprised. Then you get a whole bunch of teams like Texas, like Oregon, like Penn State, maybe Florida, Iowa State, those kind of schools that think they're right there. Man, give me a chance. Give me the 2%er chance. 130 some odd teams thinking about the national championship. Let's be real. There's a half dozen that have a real chance, and maybe a dozen of being in the playoff. But it does all start this week. Thank goodness, man. We have made it to college football season. I was talking about Alcatraz. I was there Saturday night. And if you get a chance in San Francisco to go on to Alcatraz, it's worth it. It's worth a couple hours of your time. But I will tell you, that's not a place you want to be. Nobody ever plans on getting arrested. Does happen to a lot of people every day. Now, the Bexar County Jail is nothing like Alcatraz, and we all know that. But it probably feels like that if you're the one stuck in there. So if you get arrested and you want to get out of jail fast, the best way to do that is to call my good friend Albert and his great staff at AA Best Bail Bonds, 210-225-2121. or you could text the word bail to 474747, or even start the bonding process online at mybestbailbonds.com. You don't have to call attorneys or anybody else to get out of jail, and you don't want to be forced into a PR bond. If the jail offers you a PR bond, make sure you really understand what all those conditions are before accepting it. Your best option is AA Best Bail Bonds for stress-free bail bonds, because nobody beats their price. They have payment plans available, offer a free shuttle service. They're discreet and confidential and open 24/7. They have offices all over San Antonio and Texas, services nationwide. License number 149. AA Best Bail Bonds. Call them 210-225-2121. Text the word bail to 474747 or go online, mybestbailbonds.com.
Who's ready to play some ball?
Friday nights under the lights. Don't miss the high school football game of the week. Powered by Hill Electric. This Friday on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
My name is Kelly. I want to tell you about Dr. Jacob Torres and Institute for Functional Health. I met Dr. Torres 5 years ago. I was in my late 40s, gaining that middle-age bulge, feeling less energetic, and I had aches and pains in my back and shoulder. My cholesterol, blood sugar, and other measurable numbers were okay, but not good. My cardiologist suggested if I did not change my habits, I may need to start taking pills to manage my health. I was not looking forward to spending Sunday evenings counting up my pills for the week. I phoned Institute for Functional Health to set an appointment with Dr. Torres. Over the next few weeks, Dr. Torres totally changed my life. I'm now 53 years old. I do not take medicines. I lost over 40 pounds, and my weight has remained amazingly consistent. Most importantly, I feel great. I'm able to do things at 53 that I was not able to do at 45. Dr. Torres is my hero. He changed my life.
I'm Dr. Torres at the Institute for Functional Health. Call me for your free consultation at 468-1891. That's 468-1891.
You know, San Antonio has some of the hardest water in the country. Jason Minix here for Alamo Water Softeners, a great locally owned, family-run business by the Townsends. And at Alamo Water Softeners, they have the perfect solution for your family's complete water treatment. The top-of-the-line CareSoft Elite Plus 1 filter is an advanced two-stage system built to protect your family from harmful contaminants that may be in your water. Right now, save $1,000 on the CareSoft Elite Plus 1 system through Labor Day while supplies last. So call Alamo Water Softeners. Have them come out to your house, give you a free water analysis, because, you know, some chemicals and contaminants are undetectable, and Alamo Water Softeners provides the best value for the highest quality water treatment. That's why they were voted a 2020 neighborhood favorite on the Nextdoor app. Take advantage of their Labor Day special and save $1,000 on the CareSoft Elite Plus 1 system. Discover the Alamo Water Softeners difference. Go to the website, alamowatersofteners.com. That's alamowatersofteners.com.
Look, staying healthy isn't easy. Watching your diet, hitting the gym, avoiding stress. But a good night's rest helps boost your overall health and wellness. And it couldn't be easier. The new Sleep Number 360 smart bed senses and automatically adjusts to keep you both effortlessly comfortable. The result? You wake up ready for anything. Proven quality sleep is life-changing sleep. Don't miss our weekend special. Save 50% on the new Sleep Number 360 limited edition smart bed, plus special financing. Ends Monday. Special financing subject to credit approval. Minimum monthly payments required. See store for details.
First comes love. Then comes sparkle. And that's where Diamonds Direct comes in. Engagement ring shopping is so easy at Diamonds Direct. Step 1, choose your perfect diamond. Step 2, choose your setting. Step 3, relax. Your Diamonds Direct engagement ring comes with a free lifetime warranty. That's no charge ever for sizing, cleaning, and routine maintenance. Step 4, the most important one. Diamonds Direct, your love, our passion.
Here in Texas, the heat is relentless. The storms are serious, and the hail is insane. Texas weather doesn't do anything halfway, and neither should your roofer. Your roof protects your home and your family. So whether you need a simple repair or a roof replacement, metal or composition, you need a roofer you can trust. That's Stevens Roofing. They are reputable, reliable, and have always been your local roofer. Call Stevens Roofing today for a free estimate at 210-785-0994 or go to stevensroofing.net.
More people are driving than ever before. That means a higher risk of you getting into an accident. Call My Collision Center first. Our professionals use original, not aftermarket generic parts at no extra cost to you. Aftermarket parts will bring your vehicle's value down. Your safety and satisfaction is My Collision Center's top priority. We work for you. We provide a written lifetime warranty and invoice verifying parts are factory original. If you have an accident and you want factory parts at no extra cost to you, choose My Collision Center.
And now, a man's thoughts on San Antonio Sports Star. What were you thinking?
That escalated quickly.
This is San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
This is Rudy J on your home for Cowboys football, San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Thank you very much, Rudy J. I imagine Rudy is going to be with me Thursday for a little while anyway. We're going to be live Thursday at Texas Cheer down on Palo Alto from 4 to 7. We got some samples that we're going to be testing out there. But, you know, it's Labor Day weekend. You need to stock up and be ready to go. So join us for the Blitz Thursday 4 to 7 out at Texas Cheer on Palo Alto. The New Orleans Saints, and man, God bless the people of Louisiana and the city of New Orleans, going through what they're going through right now. When the Saints have evacuated, they're in Dallas right now practicing at AT&T Stadium. My first thought was, come on back to San Antonio. We've done it before. In fact, 16 years ago. Amazing that hurricane hit on the anniversary, the 16-year anniversary. But we've done it before, but apparently San Antonio isn't even in the mix right now. And I'm not sure why. James Slater from the NFL Network has mentioned a couple of cities. Sean Payton has said, hey, we haven't figured it out yet. He doesn't think they'll be back at the end of the week because there's no power and no water. And let's face it, there's resources that need to be done for other things besides the Saints, and they understand that. The home opener, he's the only thing Sean Payton says, I guarantee it won't be in Green Bay. Not sure where they're going to play that thing, but it ain't going to be in Green Bay. They open with the Packers. I don't know if it'll be in Jerry World. I don't know where it will be. But apparently, San Antonio isn't even in the mix, according to James Slater. I texted the mayor. Mayor Ron Nirenberg has not texted me back. So I don't have anything to report one way or the other. Generally, he responds to me pretty quickly. Maybe that means there's something in the works. Or maybe he, I don't know. But according to Jane, San Antonio not even in the mix, which is disappointing. Saints at Jerry World. That could be interesting. The Cowboys don't play there again until the end of the month. I mean, it's like September 27th because they start in Tampa Bay, then they go out to L.A. before they finally get a home game. Interesting. Speaking of home games, the San Antonio Missions are at home. They've got the Amarillo Sod Poodles in town. Yep. You want to go see the Sod Poodles? Take on the Missions tomorrow night, $2 Tuesday. We've got 4 tickets to give away right now. Family 4-pack plus VIP parking. Going to caller number 7 at 656-ESPN, 656-3776. Caller 7, you get a 4-pack of tickets and VIP parking for the Missions Amarillo Sod Poodles. It's just fun to say. You want to go to that game tomorrow. Caller number 7, 656-ESPN, 656-3776. Who's going to make the 53 for the Cowboys? We'll talk about it with R.J. Ochoa from bloggingtheboys.com. He joins us next here on the Blitz. Now, you know injuries do happen. If you twist, pull, pop, or snap something, you need to know about Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics. Dr. Espinosa treats all non-surgical orthopedic injuries. He has same-day and next-day availability, and telemedicine services are also available. If surgery is needed, you'll get referred to the specialist within TSAOG that's going to help you with your injury. But I know one thing. There's no reason for you to be in pain. If you're hurting, contact Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics. You can schedule an appointment by calling 210-804-5490, 804-5490, or learn more online, tsaog.com. That's tsaog.com.
It's that time. Buses, school zones, study hall, and the classroom. It's back to school. And to make it special, you have the chance to win $1,000 in San Antonio Sports Stars back to school giveaway. $500 for you and $500 to donate to your school. Register now at sasportstar.com. Powered by Aguero's Automotive Paint and Supplies. Good luck from San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
Staples Connect has everything for school at amazing prices. Right now, Staples one-subject notebooks are only 25 cents each, and Crayola 24-count crayons, 2-pocket polyfolders, and 4-ounce Elmer's glue are just 50 cents each. So your student won't just be ready for school, there'll be tons of drawings to hang on the fridge ready.
We're going to need a bigger refrigerator.
Visit your local Staples store or staples.com/back-to-school and get amazing prices for everything on your back-to-school list. Ends 9/18, limit 30, notebooks in store only. Offer may vary online.
Working from home, you realize you don't have enough outlets or USB ports. Hill Electric can fix that for you. For over 3 decades, the family-owned Hill Electric has served San Antonio homes and businesses. From adding an outlet, fixing that fuse that always blows, or that flickering light, Hill Electric has the right service at the right price, and there is never a service charge and always free estimates. Call Hill Electric at 210-404-9074. That's 404-9074. Or go to hill-electric.com.
Jason Minix here for Alamo Water Softeners to tell you they have the perfect solution for your family's complete water treatment. The top-of-the-line CareSoft Elite Plus 1 filter is an advanced 2-stage system built to protect your family from harmful contaminants that may be in your water. Save $1,000 on the CareSoft Elite Plus 1 system now through Labor Day while supplies last. Discover the Alamo Water Softeners difference. Go to alamowatersofteners.com. That's alamowatersofteners.com.
Live, local, loud. KZDC, San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Jason Minix, the Blitz.
It is the Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. I'm Jason Minix. After a great weekend in California, LA on Thursday for a Foo Fighters show, San Francisco on Friday night for the Hella Mega Tour with Green Day, Weezer, and Fall Out Boy, which was fantastic. And then a weekend in San Francisco celebrating my daughter's birthday. It's nice to be back at work, man. I need to come back to work just so I can get some rest. And I come back to work, and football season is officially here. The NFL preseason is over. College football season, we got some appetizers over the weekend, and it kicks off in full swing starting this week. I know we'll have Jeff Traylor, the head football coach at UTSA, join us at 6 o'clock. We'll be joined at 5:30 by Peter Burns of the SEC Network. But right now, looks like our good friend RJ Ochoa is joining us here on bloggingtheboys.com and apparently checking out shirts from James Pledger as it pops up on the screen. Better late than ever. What's up, RJ?
Not a whole lot. Great to be here. Glad to know that I'm Peter Burns' opening act. Certainly feel honored to play the hits right before Peter comes in and rocks the stage. Shout out to Pledge. He told me he was going home over the weekend to get his Cristiano Ronaldo jersey. It's a great time to be a Manchester United supporter, Jason. I'm not surprised that you have no idea what's going on. You don't have any respect for the world's greatest game. That's okay. You know, you've got 3 hockey teams, but Pledge and I have 1 soccer team. That's all. That's how we roll.
Blitz has about 19 different soccer teams. They're just in different leagues. So he's got like one per league and one per championship cup, which is what, about 18 of those every 6 or 8 days. It feels like there's always some sort of soccer tournament going on.
That's true. I saw you were in California. Happy birthday to Erica. Looked
Thank
like
you.
a great time. Looked like lots of fun food, lots of fun music, lots of fun times. So you live out there? You own real estate yet? Because, I mean, you're out in California all the time.
I figured it up between the trip to California that we had for the Foo Fighters concert that was postponed because of COVID, then Oxnard for Cowboys training camp, and then back to California this weekend. In the last month, I've spent 14 nights in California. I can't go back, otherwise they're going to start taxing me.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ocean Avenue might just be your new address. So
dude, if I could afford PCH, baby, I would live there. Although I will tell you, I don't know that I could I could live in San Francisco. I don't know that I could drive in San Francisco. I mean, and I know you've been to San Francisco. Everything is uphill both ways. There is you don't ever go downhill for whatever reason. It's always uphill, and there are steep hills. I don't know that I could park in San Francisco because it's all parallel parking on stupid inclines. And if it's not parallel parking, I saw a whole bunch, and I've never really seen this before, where all the parking is back in at a 90-degree angle. So you have all these cars like that. I honestly, I don't know that I could do that.
I don't want to do that. When I was in San Francisco, my wife made me walk everywhere. It was terrible. It was miserable, including across the Golden Gate Bridge. Which is a marvel of architecture and engineering, but not where I want to spend my recreational time. Hey, I mean, if you want to head out to Cali, I think you're well versed enough. You spend enough time. 14 nights. I mean, you look at you. That's a lot of frequent flyer miles.
It is, and I'll tell you, we went to the San Francisco Bridge. We saw it. I didn't walk it. Trust me, I didn't walk it.
Good for you.
Went to the Full House, which I'm sure you would appreciate.
Mm-hmm.
But Danny,
whatever happened to predictability?
Yeah, you're driving around with well, let's go here, let's go there. Rode the trolleys. Went to Alcatraz. We did every touristy thing you could. Well, not everyone, but we did a bunch of that. But the concerts were incredible. It's been a while since I've gotten to buy a $40 T-shirt. It's been a while since I've bought multiple high-priced beers at an event, and it just felt so good to be at big rock and roll shows like that.
Right on, man. I'm happy for you. Alcatraz looked great. It was all the pictures you took. I was like, yeah, I can see Jason taking that picture. I can see Jason taking that picture, getting behind the bars and doing whatever. So, good call.
That's what it's all about. And then, of course, the wonderful thing about Southwest Airlines is they offer free TV, which allowed me to watch the Cowboys and Jacksonville Jaguars, which kicked off at around 10, and that's when my flight took off from San Francisco and then to Vegas, and then I didn't have to change planes to Vegas, so I watched the game all the way through, and I'm glad Southwest offered that to me, because after reading about the game last night, I don't know that I would have watched the DVR recording of it today like I had originally planned. I had it recorded, and I just deleted it. There was nothing there for me to see a second time. But I will say, and I'm excited about this because we're going to disagree on something based on what I just read on bloggingtheboys.com. The biggest question for the Cowboys is QB2. And I think it's going to end up being Cooper Rush. I wanted it to be Garrett Gilbert. I have championed Garrett Gilbert since the beginning of training camp. When it comes down to it, unless it's financially motivated, I go Cooper Rush over Garrett Gilbert with what I've seen in the preseason.
I don't know what I wrote, but I'm Team Cooper Rush as well. We did have an article go out today that had roster predictions from a few of us. And unless I mistyped, Cooper Rush is
actually
my QB2.
I misread. I thought you had Garrett Gilbert on yours. You are correct. You go with Cooper Rush. So all right. So you and I both agree on Cooper Rush. I thought when I read your article that because you got 6 in there, 6 different guys from bloggingtheboys.com making their predictions. I thought you had Garrett Gilbert. My bad.
No, you're good.
I was all excited to debate you, but I think you're thinking about the same I am, and it's debating over Brussels sprouts or another green vegetable that nobody really wants. But if you've got to have some green on your plate, which one is it going to be?
Well, I look at Cooper Rush. He's like caramelized Brussels sprouts. You know what I mean? Like better than normal, not like fresh out the can or whatever they come out of. A lot of people. Yeah, exactly. The take that I have never understood this whole time throughout training camp or whatever is you hear a lot of people who say, man, honestly, the QB2 is probably not on the roster. QB2 is probably somewhere else. Who is going to be cut that is good enough that you will feel fine starting that person at quarterback if Dak Prescott gets hurt? I was so upset that the Cowboys were not the team to trade for Gardner Minshew.
Agree.
I think it's either ignorance or arrogance here, and I think people like to say there's the camp of people that say, well, if Dak goes down, the season's over anyway, so why are you getting all bent out of shape about this? Yeah, you're right. If Dak goes down for 10 games, the season's over. Welcome to 2020. But if Dak has to miss a game or 2 games or a month, and you miss out on the playoffs because you're a game, 2 games short, and you went 0-4 in that month, that's when you run into a problem. One of my favorite moves, and I'm not joking, I'm not being silly, I'm not being sarcastic. One of my favorite moves this entire offseason was the Buffalo Bills signing Mitchell Trubisky. I don't think Mitchell Trubisky is awesome, but if Josh Allen has to miss a game, my favorite archetype of backup quarterback is the young guy who has shown something to be, intrigued by, that is still very young, still learning, and has very recent starting experience. That was why, I know we talked about this last year, I liked Andy Dalton for the Cowboys if he had only had to come in to play a game or 2. It was never something that was going to work out long term, which is something that only Matt Nagy seems to not know. But Cooper Rush has been their backup before. And so, they remain convinced that this is worth pursuing.
When I look at Cooper Rush, he knows the system. He knows Kellen. He's backed up Dak. That was the separator.
He's beaten Kellen, by the way. He knocked Kellen into the coaching profession.
Well, that part is true, and Kellen doesn't hold a grudge, and so that's the good thing there. But at the same time, I don't know that yesterday Garrett looked good. He looked good compared to the others. So did Cooper. They all had bad starting field position. I look at, and maybe because I saw him yesterday and, while sitting on a plane, to answer your question, Brian Hoyer, when he gets cut by the Patriots, a good veteran quarterback that can come in and win you a game. Cooper Rush can do that. I thought Andy Dalton was great for last year. He got a raw deal because he had a fumbleitis, Zeke coming off of COVID, and a beat-up offensive line. If he would have had the all-pro offensive line that the Cowboys have for Dak, and at least the way it sits today, I think Andy Dalton would have been successful last year for the Cowboys, and the Cowboys would have been a lot more successful because Andy Dalton had a bad deal with no offensive line. He's better than what he showed, but it is going to be one of those quarterbacks. I wouldn't be surprised. When I saw that Minshew got picked up for a 6, I was the same way. That's all it took. I mean, Stephen, Jerry, you guys missed out if you didn't want to go Minshew Mania, especially when we saw the other 2 quarterbacks that Jacksonville has on their roster, and you understand why it was so easy for them to just get rid of Garner, who maybe he and Trevor didn't get along because Garner thinks he's better than Trevor Lawrence.
I don't know. Maybe they just want to get rid of any sense that it's not the Trevor Lawrence show. I get that. But the thing about Minshew is he's still on his rookie deal as an undrafted free agent. So, he is pennies among pennies. And he's still under contract for 2 years. So if you trade for him now, you have your QB2 for 2 years. You know what you need? If you have Dak Prescott's contract on the books, you need cheap. That's what you need. It was a 6th-round pick. And so maybe it's Brian Hoyer. A lot of people suggest Nick Foles.
But his contract is going to be too much.
Well, if he got cut, that would be the deal with Nick Foles. But none of those are inspiring. And to be clear again, nothing is going to be inspiring. But you get what you pay for. And the Cowboys, it really is amazing when you think about the entire reason that Garrett Gilbert was given literally every opportunity to be the 12th most important starter on offense is because he looked not terrible against the Pittsburgh Steelers last year. That's it. That's the only reason that he was given this massive opportunity by the way, the same Pittsburgh Steelers who would go on to collapse as a team about a month after Garrett Gilbert didn't look terrible against them. And so, and Cooper Rush, the guy who might wind up winning the job, or at least will in our estimation here, was literally cut by this team a year ago and this staff. And so, I mean, you hope you never need this. You hope that we're having this argument and discussion for what is a moot point. But the reality of the NFL is that you might need that person. And again, what if it's the Sunday night football game against Minnesota and you lose that game because you don't have that guy and you miss out on a wild card spot to them by one game because you didn't have somebody who was capable? I mean, those what ifs exist, and people's legacies and careers change off of a lot of what ifs.
And I wouldn't be, if Case Keenum became available, that would be one that, I'd be, I don't know. I mean, there's going to be a couple of quarterbacks with names that you recognize that have had some level of success in the NFL. They've either been a starter or they've come in and won as a backup that aren't named Cooper Rush. And I think Cooper Rush is underwhelming, but we never had to see him like we saw Andy Dalton. And now I think after seeing Andy Dalton, or maybe that Dak isn't invincible, that, with Tony Romo, it was a matter of when he was going to get hurt, not if he was going to get hurt, just makes me think that Cowboys better have a pretty good insurance policy at quarterback. The arm, everything about it. I know Mike McCarthy says we're full go ahead getting ready for Tampa Bay, but I think just seeing Dak get hurt last year and basically miss all of training camp makes me a lot more interested in who QB2 is than most of the time.
I agree. I have a question for you, if you'll allow me to flip the script. I know it's the Blitz with Jason Minix, and you're the big top dog and everything. So
Sure. Go ahead.
I've been accused by you of being upset over the tiniest little details when it comes to the Cowboys. So I have an anticipation of how you might respond here. But there are rumors on the internet that Johnny Hekker, Los Angeles Rams punter, may be cut by his team. Okay. And if he is, there are rumors that the Dallas Cowboys could be interested. Now, John Fossil, the Dallas Cowboys special teams coordinator, has a long history with Johnny Hekker from their time in both LA and St. Louis. He also has a long history with his current kicker, Greg Zuerlein. He also has a long history with his current long snapper, Jake McQuaid. Greg Zuerlein, Johnny Hekker, and Jake McQuaid were literally the three Rams specialists under John Fossil from 2012 through 2019. I'm a big believer that just because something worked in one spot doesn't mean you should run it back in the other spot. People are like, oh man, Washington has Curtis Samuel. He was so good under Ron Rivera in Carolina. Who knows if that's going to translate to Washington? So my question is, this isn't necessarily about the punter. We're finally getting to the
question, huh? Yeah.
But are you concerned if that happens? If the Cowboys just transfer the Rams special teams group from what John Fossil used to have to their current operation?
On Hard Knocks, I learned that John Fossil had a vasectomy and then had it reversed. So there are a lot of things that I know about John Fossil where he likes things to be familiar. Let's go with change, but let's go back to familiar. Make those boys work again. So I would not be surprised if they made that move. The question I have is, did something happen to the punter in the Rams that they want to get rid of him? Do they have a better one? Why are they looking to make a change at this point in the preseason? Because quite frankly, Anger hasn't impressed me as much as, say, Chris Jones. I miss him as a punter. But honestly, can you get me a plus 40? Can you get me a hang time? Can you put it inside the 20?
I mean, so Johnny Hecker's coming off of his career worst yards per punt last season. He was tied for 21st in terms of PFF's punters. Brian Anger was 9th last year as far as PFF's punters are concerned, or their grades on punters. And so I'm worried, and that's why I wanted to talk about it now. If before it happens, I'm worried that this sense of nepotism and this sense of favoritism.
I didn't mute him, but I've. Can you hear me, RJ? Pledge, did RJ cut out? Is he back?
I'm back. No worries.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm here.
There you go.
I'm back.
That was the gremlin saying, are you guys really talking about the punter? I thought QB2 talk was bad enough, but now we've gone to punter. In all seriousness, the Cowboys aren't going to make that move just because Fossil knows him well. And because, you know, there might be this ongoing chess game between him and Zuerlein and McQuaid that, you know, dates back to, you know, previous locker rooms. Familiarity's there. He's got to be better in my mind. And I don't know that he is. It's got to be more than just Fossil's more comfortable with them than with what you're getting out of anger. Does that make sense? I you know.
I hope so. Yeah, I hope that they would sign the better punter, but there's no evidence to suggest that Fossil or that Hecker is better than Anger in our current moment. And so that's why my concern would be
who reversed we've seen the Cowboys
show.
His thought process is questionable. He did it once. And as a guy that's done it once, I would never go through the reversal process.
Michael Scott reversed a vasectomy several times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine how not ticklish that would be. But okay, I got the punter stuff off my chest. What is still on your chest besides the not need to have a vasectomy?
Simi Fehoko, does he make the team?
You know, he you're gonna roll your eyes, but he athletically compares to DK Metcalf and did coming out of college. Like his athletic profile fits that mold. And there's been a lot of thought that, man, you know, you hear this every year, like, man, you have to carry him because if you waive him, somebody's going to claim him. Somebody's going to poach him. Somebody's going to take him from you, whatever.
You
blah,
can't
blah, blah.
have him on the practice squad.
I did subscribe to that. Well, I did think that, and I thought it was interesting. John Lynch said during the Pro Football Hall of Fame game broadcast when they had him in the booth with Buck and Troy that they were interested. And obviously he went to Stanford, you know, 49ers, whatever. I mean, he just really has not been impressive. I mean, and maybe that's been by design. Like, if you want to be a conspiracy theorist, maybe the Cowboys have purposely not shown him off so that they feel like they can waive him and stash him on the practice squad. But I would guess right now he does not, which I did not anticipate about a month ago.
You know, it's interesting because he's a draft pick, and there is a certain sense in that room right now, I would think, from management, that you want your draft picks to make the team, that you picked well enough to where these guys are going to make the team. I look at Noah Brown, who is still there. He's still there. He's still there. Why not go with Simi and get rid of Noah at this point? You know, or you know, you want the extra defensive back. I mean, you know, Cedric Wilson obviously is going to be the fourth wide receiver. And then you look at that fifth wide receiver. I don't see him keeping 6 wide receivers. Now, Simi might make the team tomorrow because CeeDee Lamb is still on the COVID list. And until he comes off the COVID list, they don't have to make that decision. But, you know, go with the draft pick that has this high ceiling. That has, I mean, we saw him in Oxnard. Athletically, he's incredible. He hadn't had the opportunities yet. I mean, hell, he's working with Ben DiNucci, so accuracy is not a problem. I mean, one of the things that I've laughed about from when we were in Oxnard, because Dak wasn't throwing, were some of the great catches that CeeDee Lamb was making. The athletic crazy. You know why? Because the passes were not on target, and so you had to see the incredible athletic ability of CeeDee Lamb because of the passes not being as perfect as they should be. Give Simi an opportunity with Dak.
That's another conspiracy theory that the Cowboys purposely rested Dak so that their wide receivers could get better in terms of range of motion and catching passes all over the place from Ben DiNucci and even Garrett Gilbert and Cooper Rush. I mean, yeah, like, look, he's a 5th-round pick, which could have been the most they paid for Gardner Minshew, by the way. But, you know, it would be nice, especially because the future of the position is a little bit in flux with Michael Gallup, and you don't know, you know, who's going to be here next year between him and Amari Cooper. So you would like to hold on to Simi. But guess what? If you let Simi go, somebody poaches him, whatever, and if, you know, you move on from Amari or you let Michael Gallup walk, you just re-sign Cedric Wilson or you draft another dude in the 5th round. Welcome to football in 2021. There are receivers everywhere. You can find a receiver anywhere right now.
Tomorrow, 3 o'clock, all the cuts have to be in. Any major surprise that you see?
Well, I did not carry a punter on my 53-man roster because I assumed that the Cowboys were going to ultimately sign Johnny Hecker after he got cut by the Rams.
Yeah, really? I thought you didn't include a punter because they're not going to need one because Dak in this offense is just going to score every time. Either a touchdown or you know, Mike McCarthy loves to go for it on 4th down. I got a field goal kicker. Why do I need a punter? You know, we'll just go for it or or we're going to score a bunch of touchdowns. We don't need a punter. I thought that's what you were doing, RJ.
Maybe. On the subject of fifth-round picks, again, Simi Fehoko, and not the one spent on Gardner Minshew, Bradley and I was the Cowboys' fifth-round pick last year. Daniel Jeremiah last year after the draft had him graded as the best overall value in terms of the pick he ultimately was relative to where he had them ranked personally, and never really got on the field last year because the Cowboys thought it was wise to play Aldon Smith ahead of him in a lost season. Super smart move right there. And he has flashed at points in the preseason. It wouldn't be like, holy crap, they didn't, they cut Bradley and I, but it would be a bit of a stunner, I think. But it is what it is. And to answer Fred's question, by the way, who asks on Facebook, what do I think about trading for Nick Foles? No way. We're not touching that contract. The only way Nick Foles is a swallowable option, I don't know if that's a word, is if he's cut outright and you can just sign him to your terms. But no way do you want to trade for that contract.
No. And that's the other part of
Gardner Minshew beat out Nick Foles, and the Cowboys didn't trade for Nick Foles or for Gardner Minshew. So frustrating.
We don't know that they didn't try. I mean,
do you think they tried?
No.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
No.
Yeah, I really don't think they tried. I think they're like, Cooper, man, he's a good football player. He could be really good.
We need those fifth-round picks so we can send them through training camp and then cut them on cut down day.
Yeah, exactly.
RJ Ochoa from bloggingtheboys.com. Follow him on Twitter, Logging the Boys on Twitter, all the socials. Every time somebody loses their job tomorrow, they're going to tweet in celebration.
Viva Ronaldo forever.
Sure. I'm not sure what that means. RJ, appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you next week.
Later.
RJ Ochoa joining us here on the Blitz, as he will every Monday throughout football season. Peter Burns from the SEC Network. He joins us next. We'll talk about the Aggies in the SEC as the season gets ready to kick off. First, let me tell you about my friends over at Quarter Moon Plumbing, Heating, and AC. If you're having any issues at the house, whether it's related to your AC not working, maybe you've got some plumbing issues that you need to deal with, at Quarter Moon, they are experts at worst-case scenarios. Big job, small job, residential or commercial. Their service trucks are fully stocked, and they have all the equipment needed for any job. At Quarter Moon, they do not have commissioned sales reps. They'll provide estimates and second opinions. A great experienced staff that has earned an A-plus ranking with the Better Business Bureau. And at Quarter Moon, they are green certified. 210-651-5899 is the phone number. 651-5899 or online, quartermoonplumbing.com. Are you going to do it this time, Pledge? Yeah. All right. It's time for Sports Center. Here's James Pleasure. But hey, you forgot to do it earlier.
Well, I know I forgot, but I'm not forgetting this time.
Oh, you thought I forgot, huh? I just didn't know what you were going to do. Uh-huh.
According to a report from Yahoo Sports, Charles Robinson, the Miami Dolphins have emerged as the front runners in trade discussions with the Houston Texans for quarterback Deshaun Watkins, but nothing is imminent. NFL insider Aaron Wilson reports that the Texans are, quote, prepared to declare Watson inactive for each and every week of the 2021 season. The Texans did, however, commence a trade this weekend as they sent Shaq Lawson to the New York Jets in exchange for a 2022 sixth-round pick. Lawson, who was a first-round pick of the Bills in 2016, was acquired from the Dolphins in the Benardrick McKinney deal earlier this offseason. In college football, first year of Texas Longhorn head coach Steve Sarkisian reportedly ended the quarterback battle in Austin, naming redshirt freshman Hudson Card the starter for the opener against the 23rd-ranked Louisiana after he beat out Casey Thompson, who they spent the last 2 years as a primary backup to Sam Ehlinger. The Longhorns also added a big name in 2022 four-star defensive tackle Jerry Bledsoe earlier today. I'm James Pledger.
ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Listen up, sports bettors. This is Hall of Famer Warren Sapp here to tell you about my favorite sports book, BetUS.com. I only endorse one sports book, and that's BetUS.com. Just like me, BetUS is the Hall of Famer of online betting with more than 25 years in the biz. You need a sports book with integrity and longevity, and you need to know when you win, you're going to get paid. You need a sportsbook that offers all the action to make every game feel like the playoffs. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US. And they will get you set up faster than I can run the 40. Nobody in the industry gives bigger bonuses than BetUS. I play at BetUS, and so should you. Now is your turn. Join now. Call today at 1-800-69-BET-US. That's 1-800-MY-BET-US. My favorite sportsbook, BetUS.com.
Join now and get up to 200% in bonuses on your first deposit. Call 1-800-MY-BET-US.
Tell them SAP sent you.
You're a weekend do-it-yourselfer who likes to tackle the big jobs, tree removal, digging, hauling, or cleaning up a job site. For those big jobs, you need big equipment, and at Ewald Kubota, renting equipment is a breeze. Dependable Kubota construction equipment, tractors, zero-turn mowers, or utility vehicles. Get it done right and get it done fast. Right now, all new rental customers get a 10% discount off their first rental. This is the Ewald Kubota way of saying welcome. For a store near you, visit ewaldkubota.com.
Fall is just around the corner. Lowe's has what you need to change with the season. Like our new lower prices on select bagged mulch starting at $2.88 per bag. And American Gourmet 3-burner gas grills was $149, now $129. Fall together with Lowe's this Labor Day, in-store and online. Lowe's, home to any budget, home to any possibility. While supplies last, selection and product availability varies by location. Valid 8/19 through 9/8. U.S. only. Mulch offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii.
Guys, stop what you're doing. Give me a few seconds of your time and let me give you a piece of advice that will change your love life forever. Have you noticed you've been losing a little pep in your step? Has your lady friend asked you, is everything okay? Do you find yourself having trouble rising for the occasion? Do you stress out before that special moment and wonder, is it gonna work? Guys, I'm gonna let you in on a big secret. You don't ever have to worry again. The Mojo Male Enhancement Formula has you covered. Mojo is the 100% guaranteed male enhancement formula that guarantees lasting success, if you know what I mean. The Mojo Male Enhancement Formula is safe, natural, and effective every single time, guaranteed. Mojo is available in a fast-acting spray and a quick-action capsule. Do yourself and her a favor and call Pure Line Nutrition in San Antonio today. They'll get you set up for success. Call 210-494-2210. That number again is 210-494-2210. Mojo Male Enhancement, only available at Pure Line Nutrition.
Not all pizza places are the same. Mellow Mushroom originated hand-tossed, stone-baked classic Southern pizza. Not in the mood for pizza? Order a calzone, hoagie, sandwich, burger, or a mellow salad and see how care goes into every item on the menu. Take your pick from 24 draft beers and or handcrafted cocktails. And many of the pizzas can be made gluten-free or vegan. Mellow Mushroom is at 1604 in Stone Oak Parkway. Hang with friends, watch the game, and mellow out at Mellow Mushroom.
You hear all the time about Diamonds Direct's prices and selection and warranties. All true, and all good reasons to give us a visit. But what really sets Diamonds Direct apart is something that's hard to put into words. But you will feel it. You'll know it from the minute you walk in. It's our unique culture, our passion, our genuine and absolute desire to totally revolutionize the way you experience jewelry shopping. It's why we do what we do. Diamonds Direct. Your love, our passion.
The play is in. The Blitz with Jason Minix and Sports Insiders. San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
It is the Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. I'm Jason Minix. Glad to have you along on a Monday afternoon. We've officially reached football season. I know there are a couple of games over the weekend in college football, an appetizer, if you will. It really kicks off this weekend. Let's bring in our good friend Peter Burns from the SEC Network. He's going to join us every Monday during football season. Peter, how you doing, man?
I'm not as I was just realizing how little talent I have compared to you, Minix. I mean, to do a solo show, I've always in my career had to have co-hosts or sometimes 2 or 3 of them to carry my shortcomings. So the fact that you can do it every single damn day is impressive, my friend. How are you?
I'm doing well, and I've done both solo and with somebody. I prefer to have other people in the room, but I'm sitting at my kitchen table, so I'm glad nobody's actually here right now. But that's beside the point. There will be a co-host at some point down the road. They tell me. We'll see. But in the meantime, I get to have you on every week, man. That's even better.
I'm pumped. I mean, again, and this is kind of one of the more interesting seasons in a long time because at least especially for the SEC, normally, when we're coming into SEC media days, there's 7 or 8 of the quarterbacks that make it to media days. And it goes to show you hey, there's a lot of experience. But this year, I mean, it's different. There were only 3 quarterbacks that went to SEC media days that were kind of like the big names for this conference. And I think that kind of leads to itself being pretty darn wide open. I mean, obviously, the big news up in College Station with, Haynes King getting the nod, man. The more and more I learn about the kid, the more and more I make some phone calls and talk to the coaches, they're damn excited about what his skill set can bring and what Jimbo can do with him in this offense.
I want to ask you about that because when Haynes King was named the starter, I wasn't surprised. That's the name that I heard last year that, if something were to, and so all offseason, I just figured I know he got pushed. The other kid played well, but not enough to knock off Haynes King, and I think he becomes a difference maker for the Aggies. If they were going to upset Alabama at home this year, it's a guy that's going to do it with his arm and his legs.
Well, go back in the days that Manziel did it, right? I mean, and listen, it's high praise anytime you're going to compare anybody, much less a damn Texas A&M quarterback to Johnny Manziel, but it's a guy that has, sub 4.5 speed. It's a guy that can sit in the pocket and, he's not looking to be a kind of a run first and then we'll teach him how to pass. Like he could do every part of it. So I think that's big. And, I think part of the world now in college football, and it's really a prevalent in the SEC is, hey, how do you handle a quarterback competition? Right. And as a coach's kid, Haynes King, hey, that's fine. Put me in the competition. The best guy's going to win out. But the same thing with Zach Calzada, you have to get him prepared because if all of a sudden you got a mobile quarterback playing the SEC and he goes down for a couple of series or goes down for a game or two, or who knows in this COVID world where sometimes a guy has to quarantine because of the protocols or whatever, you better make sure you got a good backup quarterback and you make sure that everybody else doesn't transfer out like we've seen in some programs before.
Well, and that's such a thing. And I do think we'll probably see, especially early, Calzada getting some run. It's kind of like what Sark said at UT. Hudson Card is going to be the starter. Casey Thompson is going to play some. And then the fear, some of the internet rumors are that Sark doesn't want to really name a starter because he's afraid the other one's going to transfer out. Is there a rule at what point you can't transfer out?
Well, and the thing is, no, you can enter the transfer portal at any time. The thing is if you're going to be immediately eligible in the SEC, there are windows that you can do it. And so, for instance, if somebody at A&M wanted to transfer and be immediately eligible next year, they would have to do it by, I think, signing day of next year. So, and that's an issue that I think is something that this constitutional convention that they're having about the NCAA is I think they need to get their hands around this transfer portal and go, listen, the transfer portal is great. There's some great things. I mean, look at what happened with, Joe Burrow in Ohio State going to LSU. So there's great stories around that. However, it is such a threat for these coaches. And some of these kids are getting, and they're kids, they're 18, 19 years old, Jason, they're getting bad advice saying, oh, you could do this, you could do that. And teams are working them to enter the portal, and then they find out there's no place to go, that there should be a small window that is kind of the, quote, transfer window, kind of like how there is in soccer to a certain extent. That makes more sense than just a free-for-all right now that the coaches can't stand.
Well, and that's it. And, especially now with NIL money, you wonder how it's going to be there. I'm sure when they get this alliance thing figured out, that they'll solve the transfer portal problem, right?
Oh my gosh, the alliance! It's hilarious to me when they decided that they were going to have this Pac-12 and Big Ten and what ACC. We're all going to get together because we all need to save college football from the big bad SEC, and we're not all about money like the SEC is. And guess what they do? well, we're not going to invite the Big 12. Why not? I thought you want everybody equal. Well, I mean, the Big 12 doesn't provide us any real value. It's like, what are we doing here?
The Big 12 isn't going to exist. Come on, Peter.
Right. I get it. But at some point, like, how can you say we want equality for all of college football? We need to all work together on this and then go, well, I'm not willing to invite the SEC or the Big 12 or the Mountain West or all the AAC to the table and let's have these discussions. Like, everybody's going to be in it for their own. And the problem is this alliance said, well, we're not strong enough individually to go up against the SEC. So let's, kind of band together and form this band of brothers in college sports. It's hilarious to me.
To me as well, especially when you figure most of the schedules are done for the next decade. So I don't know how it's really going to make any kind of an impact unless it's something that they end up voting on and they just need everybody to be on the same page. It's interesting. Now, as you look at coming into this season, around here, my Aggie friends are a little hesitant to get overly excited about what could happen in College Station this year, right? There's the hesitation, like I know we're going to be good, but I don't want to say anything too soon. It's completely opposite a Longhorn fan who's been back for about a decade, according to Joe Tessitore, right? Longhorn fan thinks, all right, this year I understand Oklahoma is really damn good. Aggie fans should be just wearing shirts every day and thinking they've got a chance. They beat Alabama at home. They're going to be in the playoff. Yeah. This is the year it looks like they could do it. And most of my friends that are Aggies are afraid to say anything out loud. They don't want to speak anything into existence.
Well, one of my good buddies, a guy named Lee Melton, he used to live in San Antonio, and he was a diehard Clemson fan. And for the longest time when I lived in San Antonio, I would be like, what's it like? And he goes, it's the most frustrating thing ever because we should be good, but then every year we Clemson, right? Like that was when Clemsoning, a.k.a. choking, was a thing, right, Jason? And guess what? It was a thing until it wasn't a thing, right? That fan base all of a sudden won that game, and they won one of those games. And I think the game for A&M fans was last year early in the season when they beat Florida, right? That was a damn strong Florida team, and they out-willed them, where traditionally like Kevin Sumlin and some of these teams would wilt, late into these games. Jimbo didn't do that. And the way that they methodically just squeezed the life out of teams late into the season, that was big boy football. That's football that's meant to stay. My biggest question about the Aggies is Jimbo Fisher going to adjust to what Haynes King's skill set can be? Because, Jimbo with Christian Ponder and Jameis Winston, they weren't necessarily mobile quarterbacks. They could kind of maneuver around in the pocket a little bit, but Haynes he could do some stuff, man. He's got a little wiggle to him. So is Jimbo going to go 2021 in his offense, or is he still going to try to coach his offense like he did with Kellen Mond a little bit, which is a little bit more conservative?
I got to believe if you're going with King, you're going to let King be King. You're going to let the kid that won a state championship at Longview go be that guy. Yeah. Otherwise, why would you have him as your starting quarterback?
Well, you have to, right? And especially when you look down the road and the guy that he wants to beat, a guy that he used to be in the rooms with as far as coaching over at LSU is Nick Saban. Nick Saban prefers to win every single ball game like 17-3, and yet Nick Saban realized the game has changed, right? Like the game, he has to adapt. And no one's done it better than Saban. That's why he's so successful and the greatest to ever do it on collegiate level. But Jimbo, will learn. Has Jimbo learned that lesson? Has Kirby Smart at Georgia learned that lesson? I guarantee you Sark's ready to open it up there in Austin. So we'll see. It's a huge year because every year that Texas is not in this conference, A&M needs to continue to pile it on and continue to pile on these recruits. So it's no longer, little brother A&M. It's, by the way, get ready because you're going to be the little brother Texas when you come into town.
It's true. Peter Burns from the SEC Network joining us here on the Blitz on San Antonio Sports Star. You look at the opening slate of games Saturday, September 4th in the SEC. The Aggies that we're talking about, they've got an easy one with Kent State. I'm impressed, though, with some of the early scheduling. You look at Alabama opening up against Miami. That's going to be a hell of a football game. LSU against UCLA. UCLA looked good. beating Hawaii in front of 12 people there in the Rose Bowl. I'm guessing a few more people are going to show up in Pasadena for LSU and UCLA, and then Georgia Clemson. I mean, what a great way to start the college football season this weekend.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's one of the things, too, is that the SEC for a while, I mean, and they realize it, too, right? Like, hey, after going to just only SEC versus SEC games last year where all of them were good, you can't just continue to put out just, hey, you're playing the Amish school of technology, right? Like on the first couple of weeks and running up the record. I mean, people just aren't going to sit around in 100-degree heat in August to go see that. So, yeah, I love these matchups. LSU is really interesting because, the Tigers had to, evacuate because of Hurricane Ida. So they're out in Houston right now getting ready to go travel out to L.A. And, I mean, that Georgia-Clemson game is interesting. Although, Jason, I'll ask you this. Like, am I wrong here in thinking as long as this is not a blowout either way, if it's a 21-point blowout either way, then it might hurt a team. It might end their playoff chances. But as long as it's a fairly close game, both teams can lose it and still run the table and still be a college football playoff contending team.
I agree with that. If you're going to lose a game in college football, you do it in September and you do it non-conference. And you've got a long time to make that up in the eyes of the committee. You can't afford to lose late, which, having that game as the opener, somebody's going to lose it. They're not going to, like, I saw a promo, 138 teams with a chance at winning a trophy, which I laughed at because we think there's about 10 that have a legitimate shot at the playoff, right? And about 4, maybe 5 that have a legitimate shot of actually winning the thing at the end. And Georgia and Clemson are both in that category. Clemson maybe more so than Georgia, but Georgia's got a legit chance at the playoffs. And then who knows, regardless of what happens on Saturday, I think a team would have to lose, by 4 touchdowns or more for them to really go, all right, man, they're not really as good as we think they are. And maybe more so for Clemson because we know Georgia's going to have a tougher schedule down the stretch.
Oh, I mean, the cakewalk that is the ACC for Clemson is out of control. I mean, they don't play North Carolina, which is Mac Brown's, he's got a pretty good squad with Sam Howell as their quarterback. But outside of that, man, I mean, they're playing almost Basin for the Red Tees. I mean, they're just relaxing and chilling out there. So, it's for Clemson. That's the only tough tee shot they'll have in the college football schedule until probably a college football playoff.
Peter Burns from the SEC Network. Always appreciate the time, my friend. We're going to have a lot of fun talking football this year.
Can't wait, buddy. I'll holler at you soon, all right?
All right, talk to you soon. Peter Burns from the SEC Network. He will join us every Monday throughout the football season here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. UTSA head football coach Jeff Traylor will join us in about 15 minutes talking about the Aggies. They play Kent State on Saturday night, 7 o'clock, and I promise you that game is going to be on at the Roo Pub. The Roo Pub's the best place to go watch a football game, any sports event. You think about those 3 massive 170-inch screens. They have TVs all around. But Chip, who owns the place, he's an Aggie. I promise you that Aggie game is going to be on one of those screens. And it's a lot of fun watching Aggie football there at the Roo Pub. And if you know me, you listen to the show enough, you know I'm at the Roo Pub a lot. That's my go-to spot. And I've said many times, best place to go watch a game. And if it wasn't a great bar, it would be a great restaurant. Their food is legit. Fantastic, made from scratch. They have the best wings, probably the biggest wings in town. About 15 different burgers on that menu, great salads, great appetizers, and their kitchen is open until 2 a.m. every day with the full menu available. You've been out, you're driving around, it's late, and you're thinking about where do you want to go get something to eat? You want to go to the Roo Pub. You need that late night meal, there's no better place. Roo Pub has all the beers, full bar. You got a great game room, best darts area in town. That indoor cornhole is a lot of fun. Happy hour weekdays from 11 to 6. Whether you're going in there to eat, great for lunch, great for dinner, late at night, and certainly the best place to watch a game. The Roo Pub next to the Angry Elephant at 281 in Redland Road. We'll see you at the Roo.
Bet you can tell me when the last Spurs championship was, but can you name your congressman? Sports or politics? The answer is obvious. This is San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Jason Minix here for Alamo Water Softeners, a great locally owned family-run business by the Townsends, who are great people, great to work with. And right now they've got the perfect solution for your family's complete water treatment. A Labor Day special. They're top of the line CareSoft Elite Plus One filter system. Right now you can save $1,000 on the CareSoft Elite Plus One system through Labor Day while supplies last. This is an advanced two-stage system built to protect your family from harmful contaminants that may be in your water. And you know, some chemicals and contaminants are undetectable. So call Alamo Water Softeners. Have them come out to your house and give you a free water analysis. Take advantage of that Labor Day special. Save $1,000 on the CareSoft Elite Plus One system. Discover the Alamo Water Softeners difference. Go to alamowatersofteners.com. That's alamowatersofteners.com.
If you spend hard-earned money on a designer watch and that watch breaks, don't you want it repaired with the same designer parts? The same goes for your car after an accident. Your safety and full satisfaction is My Collision Center's top priority. My Collision Center works for you. Our professionals use original, not aftermarket generic parts that will bring your vehicle's value down. If you have an accident and you want factory parts at no extra cost to you, choose My Collision Center.
It's a baseball summer, and the Missions are back on at the Wolf tomorrow night for $2 Tuesday. The Missions battle the Amarillo Sod Poodles. Come out and enjoy $2 tickets, parking, beer, and sausage wraps. Gates open at 6 p.m. with the first pitch at 7:05. Go to samissions.com for tickets and details. That's samissions.com. Wolf Stadium is now open to 100% capacity for Missions baseball. Let's get back to fun. Play ball!
If you own or manage a growing business, you're an expert in your field. But you're not an expert in negotiating office, retail, or industrial leases. This can create an unbalanced and unfair situation. Landlords and their teams negotiate hundreds of leases every day, and they're great at getting what they want. You need an experienced team to level the playing field. I recommend you call Bottom Line Realty Advisors.
I'm Scott McMurray at Bottom Line Realty, and we can help you get the best possible price and terms on your office lease. We're different. We never represent landlords, and we only represent you. What you don't know can cost you thousands of dollars, and we can help.
Having Bottom Line Realty on your side doesn't cost you a dime. Contact Bottom Line Realty Advisors at 210-535-7800 and tell them Dave sent you.
Bottom Line Realty Advisors. We get the landlord off your bottom line.
Who's ready to play some ball? Friday nights under the lights. Don't miss the high school football game of the week. Powered by Hill Electric. This Friday on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Don't mind the brake lights. We'll get you there. San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Hearing big voice guys talk about high school football. Friday night, we'll have Churchill against Alamo Heights. Ron Rudiman returning him over to Comalander Stadium, now head coach of Alamo Heights after years as the head coach at Johnson, and before that, a longtime assistant under Jim Streety there at Madison. It'll be a lot of fun. Churchill at Alamo Heights on Friday night. Want to thank Carl Schoening. He filled in this past week for Wagner and Johnson. It was scoreless first half. Johnson pulled away in the second half to get a win. It's just great to have high school football back, talking a lot of college football. Just talked with Peter Burns of the SEC Network. Jeff Traylor, head football coach at UTSA, will join us in about 10 minutes from right now. You want to go watch some college football? The Good Sam Texas kickoff is happening at NRG Stadium Saturday, September 4th. Texas Tech against Houston. You want to win a 4-pack of tickets to go to that game? There's multiple ways for you to win. You can listen to R&R in the morning, which you should be every day. Maybe at halftime, we'll give away some tickets. Or the Blitz. Do we have tickets to give away today, Pledge? Nope, not today. So go to sasportstar.com, and you can register to win a 4-pack of tickets to the Good Sam at Texas kickoff. While you're there, you can register to win tickets to go see the Cowboys play. Also, because we got Cowboys tickets that were given away, you could register there at sasportstar.com. And also, football season is back, baby. You can, starting today, you can start registering and making your week 1 picks in our Pro Football Pick'em Challenge, brought to you by Pinkerton's Barbecue. sasportstar.com is the website. Go there, register now, pick games every week. Every week we'll have a winner. The weekly winners will get gift cards to Pinkerton's and Mellow Mushroom. Our Pro Football Pick'em Challenge brought to you by Pinkerton's Barbecue. It doesn't get better than that. SASportsStar.com has everything you need for your daily stuff. You grilled over the weekend? Put a photo of what was on your grill. You can win a $50 gift card to Tri-County Meat Market. Lots going on there at SASportsStar.com. Again, Jeff Traylor will join us coming up at 6 o'clock as they get ready to take on Illinois. Illinois had a big win this weekend over Nebraska. We'll talk about that. And as you think about the NFL Cutdown Day, one of the more intriguing stories is Deshaun Watson. Dude's got a $10 million salary this year that he's going to get paid for being inactive every week. We hear all these coaches always talking about just how valuable a roster spot is. Yet the Texans are going to waste one on Deshaun and just make him inactive every day, every week. That's the plan. You hear different stories about trade rumors here and there. I don't think because Gardner Minshew got traded for Philadelphia that means that Philly is out on Deshaun. It just means not right now. They give up a 6th. That might be a 5th. They'd be willing to give up 3 1s for Deshaun. The Miami Dolphins, a lot of rumors about that. Brian Flores says that we like high character guys. Well, does that mean you're out on Deshaun? I didn't say that. We're just going to talk about the guys in our room right now. Now, I wonder if Tua's done enough in Miami to stop those rumors. We'll find out early. But the asking price for Deshaun has not changed. By all accounts, the Texans start the conversation with 3 first-round picks. And that's not all they want. They want more. And they're going to get full value for Deshaun Watson, who in the NFL Network's top 100 players, number 18. Think about how bad the Texans were last year. How much worse would they have been without Deshaun Watson? Yet he's number 18. They're not just going to give him away. They're not. They'll ride this thing out. I'm still starting to wonder, does it get to a point where Deshaun is like, you know what, I'm good. You got rid of OB. You got rid of all these other guys. I just want to play football, man. So let me go earn my money. I don't know what it will take to get there. Because, we spent a lot of time talking about QB2 in Dallas. What are they doing in Houston? I know they've got the rookie. What's his name? Davis?
Yeah, he didn't play very well.
He didn't play well. I think he might ultimately be good. He's one that probably should have come back for another year at Stanford. And had he done that, he probably is a first-round quarterback. You're going to play behind Taylor until the team doctor punctures along, and then you're going to get thrown to the wolves, but you're not going to get Justin Herbert kind of production. That's the unfortunate part for Houston. Cut down day tomorrow. We'll be all over it tomorrow on the Blitz with who made it, who didn't make it. And football season is here this weekend. It's going to be incredible. And no game day is complete without sausage. And, of course, I'm going to choose Kielbasa smoked meats every time. Kielbasa sausage is the very best. Love the beef and cheddar. One of my favorite ways, right off the grill in a flour tortilla. And here's a fun fact for you about Kielbasa sausage. They selected the length of their sausage to fit perfectly in a tortilla. So if you've ever wondered why Kielbasa sausage is a different length than some of the other brands, now you know why. Kielbasa started right here in San Antonio in 1949, and they quickly realized a sausage wrap is awesome, but you need the right size sausage for that wrap. Kielbasa, a San Antonio brand, a San Antonio company, and doesn't get more San Antonio than that. And by designing your product to be tortilla friendly, it's football season. You grab your tortilla, grab some Kielbasa, cold beverage of your choice, and enjoy the games. You can get in and find Kielbasa sausage everywhere. UTSA head football coach Jeff Traylor joins us next here on the Blitz.
Get the latest scores from all varsity sports and all the schools in the 210 anytime at 210varsity.com. Sponsored by the San Antonio Express News. While you're at the game on Friday nights, upload photos and videos to your school's page.
No way.
Plus, check out game schedules and more. 210varsity.com. From the Express News and San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN 1250 and 94.5 FM.
Injuries happen, so if you twist, pull, pop, or snap something, you need Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics. Dr. Espinosa treats all non-surgical orthopedic injuries and has same-day and next-day availability. Telemedicine services are also available. There is no reason to be in pain. If you are hurting, visit Dr. David Espinosa at TSAOG Orthopedics. Learn more at TSAOG.com. That's TSAOG.com, or schedule your appointment by calling 210-804-5490.
You're a weekend do-it-yourselfer who likes to tackle the big jobs: tree removal, digging, hauling, or cleaning up a job site. For those big jobs, you need big equipment, and at Ewald Kubota, renting equipment is a breeze. Dependable Kubota construction equipment, tractors, zero-turn mowers, or utility vehicles. Get it done right and get it done fast. Right now, all new rental customers get a 10% discount off their first rental. This is the Ewald Kubota way of saying welcome. For a store near you, visit ewaldkubota.com.
I struggled with symptoms like frequent gas and stomach pain for years.
I was bloated all the time with daily diarrhea.
At first, I thought it was what I was eating.
I kept thinking it was stomach issues.
So I did my research and talked to my doctor, and we finally uncovered the truth.
It was actually EPI. Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI, is a condition where your pancreas is unable to help break down your food.
It can lead to symptoms like diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, unexplained weight loss, and oily stools.
And EPI symptoms can be confused with those of other common digestive conditions, like irritable bowel syndrome, Crohn's, and celiac disease.
So getting to the right diagnosis meant being more open with my doctor about the severity of my symptoms and how often they were happening.
But there's good news. EPI is manageable, so don't wait any longer. Use the symptom checker at identifyepi.com and schedule a visit or call with your doctor to ask, could I have EPI?
Sponsored by AbbVie.
5G is here, but the big carriers want you to sign a pricey long-term contract to get access. Well, not anymore, because Straight Talk Wireless has rolled out 5G coverage nationwide, with plans starting at just $35 a month and no contract. Plus, get a Samsung Galaxy A32 5G for $299, all on America's best networks. 5G coverage, 5G phones, less money. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise. 5G capable device required. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
This is the home of the Cowboys, Rangers, and Aggie football. KZDC, San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN, AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Jason Minix, the Blitz.
It is the Blitz here on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. I'm Jason Minix. Glad to have you along on this Monday. We have made it to football season. It is game week. Proof that it's game week? We got to talk to the head coach of the UTSA Roadrunners, Jeff Traylor, joining us now. Our conversation with Coach Traylor brought to you by Pinkerton's Barbecue. Coach, game week, man. How you doing?
Fired up, Jason. Thanks for having us.
Always, Coach. Now, as we get ready for game week, there are a lot of different directions I was thinking about trying to go here. You know, a year ago, we were getting ready for a weird COVID season in your first year, and I saw you speak at the quarterback club over the summer, and you talked about how you always journal and the things that you had to deal with a year ago. How much nicer has this week been compared to a year ago today?
Well, I just think we're so much more, not that we can predict the future in any way, but all of us are just so much more familiar with what we're going against, from contact tracing to social distancing to testing procedures, COVID protocols, masks. There's so much of this was just foreign to us last year. There's a little bit more of a familiarity with the unfamiliar, if that makes any sense at all.
It certainly does. And again, I mean, we all know what we're dealing with at this point is you get ready to open up the season. Saturday on the road against Illinois. That's a team that beat Nebraska over the weekend. So they've got a game under their belt. I didn't see the game, but I did see some of the highlights. Big, physical, and it looked like a hell of a crowd there in Champaign, which is probably going to be fun for you guys to get to go into that hostile environment trying to prove something, although unlike a year ago, you're not sneaking up on anybody.
Yeah, that'll be a little different. I gave the analogy to our players. You went up to BYU, and it's about 75 degrees, and it was quiet as crickets, right? It's not going to be that way. It's a night game. They won a huge conference game against Nebraska. Their crowd was incredible. Their band was incredible. It'll be a real home environment for them. They played, just like Coach Bielema's teams have done through the years. They're very, very physical. They've got 21 super seniors returning, which we're proud of our 12, but they've got 21, which is the most in college football. They've got 41 seniors up front. They've got 3 NFL offensive linemen. They're all 5-year starters. The right tackle, the center, and the left tackle are 5-year starters. Very well coached and beat a really good Nebraska team. So we were very impressed with Illinois.
Yeah, well, and again, you're going to have your hands full. You knew that was going to be the case either way. You're playing a team from the Big Ten. Your fall camp, watching on social media, and the UTSA social media game has stepped up. It's been tremendous, and I love the mic'd up stuff that I've been seeing, getting to learn getting to learn about a lot of your players and their personalities and stuff. What I've noticed in a lot of those videos is the depth that UTSA has at a number of positions. A lot of competition there. How difficult was it this year to put together your 2 deep? Who's winning all these different battles?
Yeah, it's such an easier thing for us as far as, what it looks like. The managing of all of it's tough. We can only travel so many people. There's only so many single-digit numbers. There's only so many on the leadership council. There's only so many starters. There's only so many footballs. That's what recruiting is. Our recruiting department has done a fantastic job of getting some really good players in here to add depth. We feel a lot better about our depth, and I think it's going to show up Saturday. We're going to have to be able to play a lot of kids to survive playing against a Big Ten team that has that many super seniors and that many seniors on their roster.
Jeff Traylor, UTSA head football coach, with us here on the Blitz on San Antonio Sports Star, ESPN AM 1250 and 94.5 FM. Obviously, Frank Harris is your starting quarterback. You've got Josh and the Well back as well this year. You did lose one in the transfer portal who got some playing time last year. And I know I saw on the news you talked about Frank Harris is the starter. Are you one of the coaches that has different packages for Josh or some of the other guys that are on the depth chart?
I'm a big believer in if your quarterback's the guy, he needs to be the guy. I don't want him looking over the sideline the whole time. I wouldn't mind having some packages for some guys. We're still deciding all that right now, honestly. But Frank has played well enough. He deserves to be the starter. But Josh, we just don't look at it in any other way as 1 and 1A. That's almost every position on our team, because football is such a violent game. As you saw last year, we had to play 4 quarterbacks to get through the season. Illinois has already lost 1 already. It's just the way the game is played. So Josh will be ready to play. He was voted into a single digit as well as Frank. They're both on the leadership council. They both are just unbelievable humans that love each other and love UTSA. And I couldn't be more pleased. Lowell's not quite ready, yet from the Army injury last year. We're still trying to get him back up to speed, but he's getting better every day.
Well, that's good to hear. And I know with Josh, different kind of quarterback, and, unfortunate that when he got his opportunity, he got hurt so quickly that we didn't really get a chance to see him. But I know what he did at New Mexico State. I know what he did at Smithson Valley. So I can only imagine how tough the competition was, watching Frank a lot there at UTSA and in his high school days at Clements, seeing him play so much. That must have been one hell of a battle. Probably a lot of fun to watch and practice, and then hard to go back and grade and decide who's going to be the starter.
It's painful, honestly, because they're both such great kids, and they know how I feel about quarterbacks. They're both such veterans. They appreciate how I'm handling them. I just don't want them to have that looking over their shoulder feeling. It's crushing what happened to Josh. He played so well against Middle Tennessee, right before halftime in third and fourth quarter. Then the very first play of the game breaks his collarbone. But that's kind of been Frank's career as well. So they both are very understanding and appreciative of the opportunity to play. And whichever one we call upon Saturday, I feel both those kids will be ready to roll.
And Sincere McCormick's going to be ready to roll. How comfortable or nice is it to go into a season with a returning quarterback or quarterbacks and a guy like Sincere McCormick, and then the offensive line that you have?
Yeah, well, we kind of know who we are. We're just so much more familiar with each other because we're returning 21 starters out of 22. And the kid that doesn't get talked about enough is Brendan Brady. He was hurt all last year with a high ankle injury. He had to miss 8 weeks. And the 1 week Sincere wasn't here, he went for 135 yards. So Brendan kind of had the luck of Josh last year in Lowell, and I'm hoping that kid can have a breakout year as well, take some of those hits off of Sincere. But Sincere's worked his tail off. He's much more lean right now. He's faster, and I'm excited to watch him run Saturday night.
Jeff Traylor joining us here on the Blitz. UTSA's head coach will join us every Monday during the football season. Coach, you got Illinois this week. You know it's going to be a tough opener on the road, a Big Ten team, national TV on the Big Ten network. Their quarterback got hurt in their first game. So your preparation, is it thinking he's going to be able to go, or are you preparing for the backup? How difficult is it this week to get ready for game one?
Well, they're both similar. I mean, the quarterback that came in the game has played a ton of football at Rutgers. He was 12 out of 15 for 2 touchdowns. So he's played a lot of football, and they did a great job of letting him run the offense. But they're going to run the football. That Coach Billum has done that at 3 Big Ten championships at Wisconsin, 3 bowls at Arkansas, and a huge win over Nebraska already. He's going to run the football, and they're going to play action, passion, throw the ball down the football field. So it doesn't matter which quarterback's out there. They're both going to be running a very similar style offense.
You know, hearing that, we've been talking a lot about your offense. Do we need to look at who's going to be standing out on the defense? Who's going to be the surprise defensive player that, you know, has made the biggest jump from last year through spring football, through training camp to get ready for this opener?
We're just deeper. That's going to be the biggest difference. You're just going to see more guys out there you might not recognize from last year just because we're deeper. We really recruited very hard, and we brought in, a lot more defensive linemen, a lot more inside linebackers. That's going to be where you see the biggest differences in our inside 7, just more depth, more numbers you might not be as familiar with, plus all the stars that are returning as well. We got to stay fresh and healthy. We were very, very lucky last year. As unlucky as we were at quarterback, we were that lucky at linebacker. That Jamal Liggins and Trevor Harmison and Tyler Mackey made it through the entire year. Tyler played with the cast, but the Jamal and Trevor made it through the year. We were so fortunate because we were out of people in there real quick. Avery Morris has really come on as a young linebacker. Drew Prox a transfer, Feaster a transfer. I mean, we were excited about that depth, and we just think we're going to be better in there. Defensive line wise, Brandon Brown, a guy we got in here that's going to help us at the nose guard position. Cyrus, a young kid we recruited, Walker Beatty. Those are all guys you're going to see out there. McDougal from Florida. Just a bunch of different people you haven't seen that we think will play well Saturday.
And Coach, as you get ready for this first game, and we haven't had an opportunity to have you here on the Blitz since they opened up the Race Center, the facilities, you think about what you got when you took the job at UTSA. Last year, everything that you had to deal with is what it is. But to move into the Race Center and to be able to start this season with all the expectations, so many guys on various watch lists, just you came in talking about wanting to build a culture, build an atmosphere, and to see a year later how things have changed, just the perception of UTSA in such a short amount of time. How was that for you?
I've always felt that way. I've said it since I had the job when I got hired December the 19th. I think this is a gold mine of a job. I love where it's centered in the state. I love that we have so many connections with our Texas high school coaches, buddies that help us out just dearly. I love how committed our president, our athletic director, and our boosters are to making this thing become a really, really top program in the country. We've made that commitment by building a $41 million facility. And we had 2 local kids in the city recruit commit to us the day we were up here, the very first time they saw it. So it's going to be a game changer for all of us, and we're excited. And we've got a great opportunity to go on the road and shock the world Saturday night, and we can't wait to get there.
You can't. I'm looking at your roster and all the conversations that we had last year, the importance of the single-digit number in the UTSA program. You got a lot of guys going, you got to pay attention because single-digit number on offense, defense, you can get away with that in college football. But my goodness, man, you might need more single-digit numbers. You might have to invent some.
Well, I was worried about it. It's a great point, Jason, because we returned so many people. And I asked the kids, I said, look, this is my baby. If y'all don't want to do it, I don't want to tear down our locker rooms. There's going to be some really good players not get voted in. And they're very committed to our brand and our culture, that 2-1-0 triangle of toughness, and they wanted to keep it. And there was some difficult conversations. We had some really good football players that didn't get voted in, not because they weren't deserving. We're just so much more deeper than we were last year.
Good stuff. Jeff Traylor, UTSA head football coach. Good luck this week against Illinois. We'll talk to you next week, Coach. Always appreciate the time.
Jason, same to you. God bless and birds up.
Birds up. Game is Saturday night. It will be on the Big Ten Network. And again, you know it's going to be a tough game for UTSA. You know, they're playing a team out of the Big Ten. They're not going to surprise anybody. We saw Illinois beat Nebraska. Now, you heard Coach say, well, Nebraska's a good football team. I don't think Coach is going to come on and say, well, they're not very good, and we know that. I didn't think Nebraska was all that good, yet they hung for a while with Illinois. And I only saw the highlights of that game, but I saw Illinois being big and physical. Their starting quarterback got hurt. The guy that came in, you heard Coach say, threw for a couple touchdowns. I mean, you know, there wasn't that major of a drop-off between the two, but it is going to be a tough game, a tough opener for UTSA. But unlike years past, I'm not thinking this game is just going to be an ugly blowout. Just don't go embarrass yourself. I'm not going to be surprised if UTSA goes in and beats Illinois in their first game. You look at the guys that are coming back, which is just about everybody, and the experience that they have, although they are playing a very experienced Illinois team, but I think it's going to be a fun game for UTSA. This season, so many expectations that sometimes worry about the sophomore slump with some. You know, I don't think you're going to get that with Jeff Traylor's group. And again, he'll be on with us every Monday here on the Blitz, our conversation with Coach Traylor, sponsored by Pinkerton's Barbecue. UTSA opens Saturday, Texas opening against Louisiana Lafayette, or just Louisiana, I think is how you're supposed to say it, ULL, the Raging Cajuns. Similar situation for Sark in trying to name a starting quarterback. Although Hudson Card won the starting job, he's going to get the start. But Sark says Casey Thompson is going to play a lot. There's a lot of packages for Casey Thompson. And he also said Hudson Card, he wouldn't say he's the permanent starter for the year. He's the starter for this week. He didn't say he's won the job for the rest of the year. And I don't know if that's, you know, Sark's just way of trying to keep Casey Thompson happy and interested, or Hudson hasn't separated himself enough to say you are the no doubt number one starting quarterback for this football team. I think in College Station, as the Aggies get ready to open up against Kent State, Haynes King separated himself from Zach Calzada. And you know, you look at the differences there. When you look at some of the different quarterback battles, some you knew, we knew who the Alabama quarterback was going to be. So it was no big surprise when Nick Saban named the kid that's already got $1 million in NIL deals that he was going to be the starting quarterback. That there was no doubt there at Alabama. I think there was some questions in College Station, although I thought Haynes King was going to end up winning the job. And quite frankly, I'm not surprised that Hudson Card won the job. But what I saw from Casey Thompson in the Alamo Bowl last year here in San Antonio, but neither one of those guys, Thompson or Card, separated during their scrimmages during the spring. They all had both of them had some pretty incredible plays, but also some really boneheaded mistakes. And so you start looking at who's going to be your starting quarterback. It's such a big question, always leading into week one of a college football season. Then you also look at, well, who are they playing? I mean, I don't know how much we're going to learn about Texas A&M playing Kent State. They should win that game by 42. Or you look at Alabama's opening against Miami. Clemson and Georgia are opening against each other. There's some really good matchups coming up this Saturday. And then you got some dogs. That's the question. What are we really going to know? Now, I'm not sure how to take the Texas game, Pledge, when you look at Texas is playing Louisiana Lafayette. Part of you wants to say, well, it's ULL. You should be able to beat those guys. But they're ranked number 23, I think, in the country. They're a top 25 football team. It's not going to be the gimme game that I think everybody thought it was going to be. Yet if Texas rolls them by 28, are we going to have whoever the TV announcer saying Texas is back for real this time? I think maybe, hopefully. We'll tune in next week and find out.
I mean, it'd be nice to know, but if if Tessitore's on the call, and they're rolling Louisiana or Louisiana Lafayette or the Raging Cajuns or whatever they want to be called, I just want to hear Tess say,
Texas is back, folks. They are. I mean, it won't be Tess. Will it be Gus Johnson? It's on Fox at 3:30 in the afternoon. I just looked it up. It's going to be on Fox. I want to see how the new stadium looks. That's kind of, the big thing for me. I want to see all the construction they've been doing in a game. It's going to be a full house, because when you look at the opening of the Big 12, the SEC has a couple of 3 games on their schedule that are, holy crap, they're playing that game opening weekend. I mean, I look at, you think about the playoffs and all that kind of stuff. A loss in early September doesn't hurt you as much as a November loss. I think we all know that. And if you're opening up in a top 25 matchup and you lose, your season is not over before it gets started. But I look at some of the matchups for the Big 12, and Texas and Louisiana Lafayette is the best matchup out there. I mean, it really is. I mean, the fact that you look at Oklahoma's opening against Tulane, and man, I feel so bad for the people at Tulane. I really do. That game's going to end up getting moved. In fact, I believe it's been moved already to Norman, Oklahoma. Tulane was going to host Oklahoma. Think about the money that university was going to get by having OU come into their building. And because of the hurricane, Ida comes in, they're going to end up moving that game to Norman. Tulane will still get their game check, but the gate check, the amount of tickets sold and beer and everything else, it's just unfortunate for Tulane that they lose that game. Kansas State's opening against Stanford. That one could be interesting. West Virginia and Maryland. And I think every UT fan knows about the Turtle in opening week. That's not a good one there. Baylor, I'm looking at the schedule. You would think the fine folks at Texas State might advertise that they've got the Baylor Bears coming to town, even though it's not the Baylor team of years past, but Baylor's playing in San Marcos on Saturday. That should be a good game. Of course, Texas Tech taking on Houston. In fact, if you want to win tickets to that game, go to sasportstar.com. We're giving away tickets to the Good Sam Texas kickoff, which is Saturday at NRG Stadium in Houston. The Houston Cougars against the Texas Tech Red Raiders. It's going to be a good weekend of football. Starts on Thursday. We've got games. I think actually I see a promo on ESPN earlier. There might be a game on Wednesday. One of those teams, one of those conferences that just want to get on national TV, and why not? As long as it's a real college. I don't know if you heard, ESPN apparently aired a game Sunday from a fake high school. It's one of the more bizarre stories about a high school that's trying to become a football factory, although they got their ass kicked by IMG Academy. But they played Sunday in Canton, Ohio, where the Hall of Fame game was played, and a game that was on ESPN. I didn't see it live. Well, I was too busy trying to stay awake during the Cowboy-Jacksonville game on an airplane. But apparently this high school played a game on Friday night and got beat. Then they turned around and played on Sunday. They ended up on ESPN because whoever produces those games for ESPN, which is a third-party company, found this school and was like, hey, man, we got all these D1 prospects. You're going to want to put us on. And, they can't find where this high school is in Ohio. I can only imagine the different sports reporters that then tried to have to figure out where this high school is. Apparently exists only online. But you think about playing a football game. You played one on a Friday, then you turn around and played on a Sunday. The health and safety factor for all those kids, but then they don't live up to the hype. They had no business being on the same field with IMG Academy. I mean, that would be like just pick a small 2A school and say, go play the Judson Rockets. Who, by the way, did you see the win they had on Friday night? I mean, they're just not a fair fight. Especially if you're coming off of a game on Friday. ESPN with little egg on their face with the high school football that they tried to show, or that they did show over the weekend. And I look at some of those made-for-TV games when I think about high school football. And, if you're a longtime listener of the Blitz or of me, my passion for high school sports. It's not necessarily always about how many D1 prospects you have on there. You put the school and the individual players first, and then where are they going? But for this, there's certain high schools I'm not a fan of just because, they're recruiting, they're just doing it for trying to become a football factory. Not a fan of IMG Academy, not a fan of whatever school this was in Ohio. But I can't believe that there wasn't more research done trying to figure out like the history of this school. Apparently it was founded last year and it's only online. Come here, play football. You're going to pass. We're going to get you on national TV. And then you do that and you go out and get yourself embarrassed. That's the crazy thing is, Pledge, did you watch any of that game?
I didn't watch much of anything this weekend.
You?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
You
You were down in Houston. You were a little busy or a little too drunk to focus?
Things got a little squirrely.
Well, I mean, it's your buddy's birthday party down in Houston. I'm guessing late nights and early morning golf.
Early morning golf, late nights, lots of Yingling and other alcoholic entities imbibe all throughout the day.
So you finally went and discovered Yingling, huh?
Oh, I've known about it thanks to you, but now I'm finally able to get it and put it in a fridge.
Yeah, it's wonderful, isn't it? Lots of things to look forward to with football. Somebody just put on our screen, Texas ULL is going to be the best matchup of the weekend. Batella Franklin, your Texas is showing, as my friend Rob Thompson would like to say. I don't know that that's going to be the best game of the weekend. It might be the one that a lot of us are most interested in watching. But you got to, it's that time of year where you got to either make sure you're at a place like the Roo Pub that has multiple TVs, or you kind of plan out where your schedule's at, flipping around to the various channels, going back and forth, because there are going to be a lot of really good games this weekend, including Texas and ULL. But there is no way that is going to be the best matchup of the weekend. If it is, Texas has bigger problems. I know it's a top 25 matchup. I haven't looked at the line yet, and I know we've only got about 30 seconds left, Pledge, if you could find the line pretty quick. But it's 3:30, it's on Fox, but Texas has to win that game big in Sark's debut. Hudson Card has to go out there and look good. Bijan Robinson needs to run for $150 and 2 scores. They need to dominate that game. And we'll talk about it. That'll do it for this edition of the Blitz. Out a little early, we got some Texas Rangers baseball coming up. They won big yesterday over the Houston Astros, avoided the sweep. Let's see if they can continue the hot streak against the Colorado Rockies next here on the Blitz.
Let's be real. Mopping is a hassle. You have to fill the bucket,